Ryan Tseng, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sean. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. We've been really looking forward to this for a long time, and now I have a model UAP sitting in my front yard here. So it's going to be super interesting. I know all the locals are like, "What the fuck is that thing doing here? What is that?"
I'm excited to show you it. It's pretty cool.
I can't wait, man. And you know, like I was saying at breakfast before we start the interview, I mean, I just love seeing not just veterans, but especially team guys, SEALs, you know, get out and do something totally different. And it's cool, man. It's a huge inspiration for a lot of team guys getting out and like you just have really broken into a whole new thing that is just unimaginable for a lot of people, other than maybe Dino Mavrukis. But congratulations.
Thank you.
Really
No,
cool.
it's I appreciate that. It's painful, and we're excited about what we're doing and hope to make a big impact on the world. And similarly, like I'm super inspired being in this room. Everything you've built is very cool as well.
Thank you, man. Thank you. But everybody starts off with an introduction here. So here we go. Ryan Tseng, co-founder and president of Shield AI, a defense technology company you co-founded in 2015 to build AI pilots for military assets. Helped raise over $1 billion in funding for Shield AI, growing the company to over 1,000 employees. You're a former Navy SEAL who served 2 deployments to Afghanistan and 1 to the Pacific Theater, a graduate of the United States Naval Academy, and you later earned an MBA from Harvard Business School. Advocate for advancing U.S. national security through AI and autonomy. Testified before Congress on topics like technology innovation, acquisition reform, and the role of AI in warfare. You're a husband and a father.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, Brandon, I'd like to do a life story on you. And I know we got limited time today, but I'd like to go from childhood all the way up into what you're doing right now, and talk a little bit about your time in the SEAL teams, how you got into the AI business world, and it's gonna be a fascinating interview.
Cool.
But couple things to crank out here before we get started. I always like to give gifts. So here we go. First one, Vigilance League gummy bears, made in the USA, legal in all 50 states, at least right now, until RFK outlaws red dyes and massive amounts of sugar. So,
No, love it. Thank you.
and, since you're a team guy, I think you'll really appreciate this one.
This is sick. Oh, love it.
So that is the first Sig Sauer autonomous pistol. No, I'm just kidding. That's the your face. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I wanted to do that first, but no, that's the Sig Sauer P211 GTO 9mm. It's first 2011 model from Sig. So
Amazing. Thank you, Sean. I brought some gifts also. 2 things. You got me a gun. SEALs love guns and knives. And so brought you some guns and knives.
I love guns and knives.
These are, you can open them up. Was in Brazil, working with the Brazilian Navy, went out to a place. They said, yeah, we can do these steak knives for you.
Dude.
You can get them laser engraved.
Look at that.
And so they're like, what do you want on it? First thing that came to mind was, 'cause I was feeling sorry for myself, suffer in silence. And so with the SEAL Trident on there. Then this one, I'm pretty excited to give you too. How do we give something that he's going to be pumped about? That is civilian version of the HK MP5.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah. And so apparently HK started selling.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So obviously MP5, a lot of history in soft SOCOM. don't know if you ever got to carry one around, but yeah, that thing's
Dude,
that thing's sick.
this is awesome.
I'm gonna get one myself.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, SEAL teams have a long history of the MP5. No, I never carried one. I shot him. Did you carry one?
I never carried one. We had one guy who just like carried it as his secondary, just because it was fun to carry an MP5. So I'm like, all right. He's like, cuz, why not? So I was like, all right. So I've shot it before, but yeah, never carried it.
Man,
so.
Thank you. That is fucking awesome.
And there are 3 patches from Shield AI on there. One, our work with the U.S. Coast Guard interdicting drugs in the Caribbean Sea. 2, flying, jet aircraft autonomously. And I think the third one is, AI has the aircraft, which is the call that fighter pilots make when they push a button on the F-16 and it becomes autonomous. That's what this shirt is. So,
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you just said you're doing Shield AI is doing counter drug ops?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, let's just start right there before we get into the life story. I'd love to hear this because, I saw a couple of boats get blown up.
Yeah, I joke with my government relations team that I want a letter of marque, but they say don't talk about that. But no, we've been working with the U.S. Coast Guard actually in the past couple weeks. Like we went operational with them. So there's this big long process. We passed operational testing and evaluation, 100% on key performance parameters, 100% on key system attributes. It's our aircraft, the VBAT, which is 180-pound vertical takeoff, launch, and land aircraft. Easiest way to think about it is like a miniature Reaper Predator drone. And 2 weeks in, have interdicted over $500 million worth of cocaine in the Caribbean Sea. Yep, in the Caribbean Sea. Just absolutely. Obviously, there's a lot of operations going there. We're with the U.S. Coast Guard. I've also done U.S. Navy operations down there with 4th Fleet. Can't say about like all the ops going on in there, but yeah, what I can say is we've interdicted a lot of drugs, interdicted a lot of vessels. I've seen a lot of ships set on fire in the past couple of days or past couple of weeks. So, which feels good as an American. I actually always, I'm excited about what they're doing in terms of the Caribbean Sea and just stopping the flow of drugs into the country. And so I'm like, the thing that I live for is mission impact. And so it's cool to get to have a positive impact on the world in that way.
That's incredible. Over $1 billion in 2 weeks.
Yeah. We've been absolutely it's wild. I mean, yeah.
Holy shit. Any fentanyl stuff?
Not that I don't know. Well, like they say what they give you is like the weight, and they give you the street price, and so then I hop on Google to determine that is most likely cocaine. So, yeah. Right
on, man. Damn, that's awesome. One more thing. So, I got a subscription account. It's on Patreon, and a lot of these folks have been with us here since the very beginning when I was doing this damn thing out of my attic. And, they're the real reason I get to sit down with people like you. And so one of the things I do is I give them the opportunity to ask each and every guest a question. This is from Hunter Widden. How did your battlefield experiences, where lives depended on split-second decisions, shape your vision for building AI systems that protect warfighters in combat?
Yeah, it had a massive impact in the sense. So, just really quickly, my first deployment as a Navy SEAL, I got to augment development group, augment SEAL Team 6. And just to be super clear, I was not a member of SEAL Team 6, didn't go through Green Team, but the SEAL teams would send out junior officers to go gain experience deployed.
That was your first deployment?
Yeah, it was amazing. I am very blessed. It just happened to be with the troop that killed bin Laden.
Nice.
So this was 1 year after they had killed bin Laden, and it was just like a masterclass in ISR and targeting operations, a masterclass in direct action missions. And so during the day, during the night, the troop would go out, they'd conduct their raids, capture, kill missions. During the day, we would conduct kinetic strikes. And so that is understanding that kill chain from the intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, targeting to having effects on the battlefield. Like that was, didn't know it at the time, but really understanding that process in and out has helped me build Shield AI, helped me understand like how to build these, the autonomous systems.
Very interesting. Wow. What a hell of a first deployment.
Yeah. And like, to be clear, I tell people I was the equivalent of a squire for the ground force commander. I do everything from, I would just wanted to be a good, young SEAL officer, load his magazines, grab a muscle milks, before the op, get those guys what they needed to be successful. And then, when we were doing strikes, it was coordinating with the battle space commander with air assets. And so, the one fun thing, I did try to make it lively and energetic. I would cheer when we would do kinetic strikes in the jock, and everybody's like, "What the hell?" I was like, "Look, this is fun, cool stuff. Like we're taking out bad guys. Like what's not to love about it?" So
that's cool, man. Well, let's start with the life story. So where did you grow up?
Grew up, so I was born in Houston, Texas. I'd say I grew up in Seattle, moved to Seattle, Washington when I was 10 years old. Finished high school in Florida. It was just my dad's job in corporate America. I was one of 4 kids. I have the oldest is my sister, older brother, younger brother. So I was number 3. But yeah, that's where, a lot of good memories in Seattle and Florida. It was fun times.
What'd your parents do?
My dad worked in corporate America, started off his career at Bechtel, largest engineering construction company in the world, then worked for a small engineering construction company in Houston, Texas, did another company called Foss Maritime in Seattle, and then at the age of 50, decided to buy a small engineering construction firm in Orlando, Florida, and that's what took us to Florida. Mom was 100% mom, day in, day out. That's what they did.
What were you into?
Let's see. So when I was 4 years or in 4th grade, I wanted to be a professional basketball player. When I didn't make the travel team in 6th grade, quickly realized like basketball was not going to be my journey. So I grew up swimming. Yeah, there weren't, Yao Ming didn't exist when I was in, or he wasn't playing professionally. Didn't have an Asian NBA player back in the day. And I wasn't very good, it turns out, but thought I was good. Got into, so I had always swam growing up, and then got into water polo. So for me, middle school, high school, it was swimming, water polo, and then video games. There's some pretty intense video game playing in Seattle when it rains 300 days out of the year.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
I'll bet. You close with your brothers and sisters?
Yeah. Work with my brother. Him and I my older brother started the company, brought in my younger brother during COVID to start the company. He was at MIT getting his MBA. COVID happened. I said, Nick, why are you doing online school? Why don't you, come join Ryan and I and work on this? And my mom holds it against me to this day that I got him to leave MIT. So she's not happy about it.
No shit. So 3 brothers.
Yeah. There's 3 of us. Yeah. 3 brothers. Yeah.
3 brothers running the company.
Oh yeah. Working together and yes. Yeah. Enabling it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Happen, so.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's pros and cons.
I was going to say
with that, you can communicate really well with your siblings, almost too well sometimes.
Right on, man. Well, what got your interest in the SEAL teams?
Yeah, so 10 years old, saw 2 movies. Under Siege, which I, to this day, claim is the greatest Navy SEAL movie of all time. Not sure what yours is, but Under Siege and The Rock. So
The Rock?
Yeah.
Where the Marines kill all the SEAls?
Not a good look, but those 2 action movies, like I said, Under Siege is the my favorite. But that's what got me interested in it. And so then I asked my parents about it, right? I was like, this looks really cool. They're like, oh, right. They want you to read a lot growing up. So like, oh, you should read books. They got me books on it, got me more interested in it. They thought it was a phase and that it would go away. And then, I think in 10th grade, I asked them like, how can I, be a Navy SEAL? And they're like, all right, this isn't going away. And they said, you should go to college first. I said, well, can I go to college and be a Navy SEAL? They said, go to this thing called the Naval Academy. And so, applied there, got in and just kept the dream alive. So
What age did that fascination start?
the Naval Academy or
Being a SEAL?
being a SEAL? 10 years old. Yeah.
10 years old?
Yeah.
Damn, you followed through.
Yeah. No, it was, it was my older brother. I remember I was like 11 years old at the time. It was winter in Seattle. He's like, yeah, you got to do cold weather training. Like, go sit in the snow and I'll spray you with a hose. Right. As an 11-year-old, you're listening to your older brother. You're like, all right, if this is what it takes. So, yeah.
Any family history in the military?
It skipped a generation. So on my mom's side, my great grandfather was actually a doctor on a hospital ship in World War II. Actually, I have a really cool picture of the Japanese surrender with Admiral Nimitz, and it's a letter. It's signed by Admiral Nimitz saying, Captain Carroll, thanks for your service, to the country during World War II. My grandfather was also in the Navy. He graduated, I think, the Naval Academy in like 1949, but then like skipped a generation. I wasn't close to my, grandfather on my mom's side. And then on my dad's side, his dad actually fought in World War II. He was a nationalist in China fighting the Japanese.
Wow.
Yeah, fighting the communists, and then left China when the communists took over, left with Chiang Kai-shek and moved to Taiwan. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Taiwan.
Yeah.
That's a topic we'll probably cover later.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, for sure.
Hey folks, our friends at Tractor Supply have always stood for community, for neighbors helping neighbors, and for the people who keep life out here moving forward. And at the heart of every community are the heroes who serve, the veterans, active duty military, first responders, and the families who stand beside them. These are the folks who answer the call, who protect, who sacrifice. And Tractor Supply believes that deserves more than just a thank you. That's why they created the Hometown Heroes program. It's their way of giving back in meaningful, everyday ways. As a hometown hero, you'll enjoy special perks through Neighbors Club, like earning rewards on every purchase, free trailer rentals and delivery, and exclusive savings on holidays that honor your service. And the best part? Once you sign up and verify through ID.me, it's automatic. No hoops, no hassles. So if you or someone you love is a hometown hero, visit tractorsupply.com/hometownheroes to learn more. It's Tractor Supply's way of standing behind those who always stand for us. My days don't slow down. Between work, the gym, and time with the kids, I need eyewear that can keep up with everything I've got going on. And that's why I trust Roka. I've tried plenty of shades before, but these stand out. They're built for performance without sacrificing style. I've put them through it all, on the range, out on the water, and off-road. They don't quit. They're lightweight, stay locked in place, and are tough enough to handle whatever I throw at them. And the best part? They don't just perform, they look incredible. Sleek, modern, and designed for people who expect more from their eyewear. No fluff, no gimmicks, just premium frames that deliver every single time. And that's why Roka is what I grab when I'm heading out the door. Born in Austin, Texas, they're American designed with zero shortcuts. Razor sharp optics, no glare, and all-day comfort that doesn't quit. And if you need prescription lenses, they've got you covered with both sunglasses and eyeglasses. One brand, all your bases. Roka isn't just eyewear, it's confidence you can wear every day. They're the real deal. Ready to upgrade your eyewear? Check them out for yourself at Roka.com and use code SRS for 20% off site-wide at checkout. That's ROKA.com. Well, so what was it like when you, I mean, it sounds like you come from a educated family. Your dad was your dad an engineer?
Yeah, he was an engineer, electrical engineer. Yeah, they're, call it typical Asian family, push education really hard on you. Nothing, you'd come back, you'd get an A on a test and 96%. My dad'd say, why didn't you get 100%?
Oh,
you
damn.
get 100%. My dad'd say, was there extra credit? And if there was none, he'd be like, all right, good job, So,
Right on.
yeah.
And your siblings sound like they're hard chargers too.
Yeah. I think we're all, look, one of the things that was always, be grateful, work hard, right? Don't give up the opportunity that's been set in front of you guys. Don't let that go to waste. And so that was something, ingrained in us from my parents, and then from my dad's side of the family, who had, come from, seeing war-torn communist China to, growing up. My grandfather was a diplomat in South America, so they grew up in South America, and then so it's just a sense of gratefulness and work hard and be thankful for the opportunity. And what they would tell us is, you won the lottery being born in the United States of America, and didn't really appreciate that till I would say I saw more of the world and joined the Navy and saw the rest of the world. And I think if you're born in the United States of America, you have absolutely won the lottery in a very positive way. So
yeah, I would definitely agree with that. But you sound like kind of an outlier in your family.
In the sense that I wanted, I joined the SEAL teams, and I think that was different for them. But they're all I think they've always been. My mom's always pushed a lot of be confident, like an insane amount of confidence in her kids. And Brandon, if you want to go to the NBA, you can, which is completely unrealistic. And I was like, Mom, there's no way, right? She's like, oh, if you put your mind to it. But no, that I don't know. My older brother started a company. He sold it to Qualcomm. But I would say we're all hard workers. We're very competitive people. And so, just like to have fun, be grateful.
Let's work it out.
Yeah.
So you decide you're going to the Naval Academy in 10th grade.
Yeah, in 10th grade. Went up for something they do where they invite, 10th graders. It's between your 10th and 11th grade. It's called Summer Seminar. Saw that place, was like, okay, this is it's pretty cool, right? It's different. Still wanted to be a SEAL. And applied, got in, and it's, have you ever been?
No, I've never been there.
It looks beautiful. It's pretty awful on the inside.
Is it?
It's a military school. It is not a typical college experience. It's you make a ton of great friends, just like you do in the SEAL teams. I have lifelong friends from that institution, just because you go through joint suffering together. So,
yeah, I've never been there. I don't really know much about it, but I will say that the Naval Academy alums seem to be very tight and tied in with each other. Just curious. How does that compare with the SEAL teams? It seems tighter after service.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the Harvard Business School Alumni Association, I think, is ridiculous in terms of the tightness. And then, the Naval Academy, I would say they're pretty good, right? Again, everybody's got those shared experiences where you can understand the walk that they have taken in life. And then I would say the SEAL teams, I don't think we do the best job of an alumni association.
No.
But I think we do a good job just trying to talk to each other, I make myself available to any veteran, but team guys specifically, it's all right, someone gives me a call, I'm picking up, and, or they want to talk, I'll talk to them. So I'm very big on vets helping vets, team guys helping team guys. So,
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I wish there was more of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
But,
teams people don't want to ask for help, right? And that's, I don't like the teams especially, right? It's I'm a team guy, I'll figure it out type mentality is probably why they aren't more active in that alumni sense.
And extremely competitive.
Yes, and extremely
very competitive.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. What is the pathway from a Naval Academy guy to BUDS or the SEAL teams?
Yeah. So, your junior year, when I was there, you go through, they still do it. You go through a SEAL screener, right? And this is Friday night to Sunday morning. It's a hell night, a hell 48 hours, whatever it is. It's run by the SEAL on the yard. They bring in a bunch of SEALs from the East Coast to help run it, and along with the seniors who were selectees for the SEAL teams. You go through that. That is, I mean, I don't know, we probably started with 120 people and you finished that screener with like 40 people. And so it's very much, yeah, it's no joke in that sense. Then based on your performance, you can get a SEAL billet. And so they didn't have, like, they used to have something called mini buds. Now they have something different. When I was going through, I got to go spend 3 weeks with SEAL Team 2 in May, which was awesome. And so spent 3 weeks with SEAL Team 2. Actually, my fun fact was that's where I got to know Tim Sheehy, Senator Tim Sheehy. Him and I were on the same SEAL cruise together. He actually lived a floor below me at the Naval Academy, but got to know him really well on that SEAL, we call it SEAL cruise. It was an awesome 3 weeks. We did, combatives. We did, they were doing the like aggressive driving course down at Blackwater. And I was like, this is amazing. And I can, and so then you go back your senior year, you put in like your final application, final PT scores, you get your letter of recs. Like we had a letter of rec from SEAL Team 2, commanding officer. Actually, Master Chief Jay Manti, I don't know if he was at SEAL Team 2 when you were there at the time. So yeah, he was CMC. But then, yeah, so you put in the applications, you go in for an interview. I was competitive. I did not get a spot right out of the Naval Academy. Most soul-crushing day of my life up to that point, right? You take your 10-year-old dream and like throw it in the trash. I remember like, they tell everybody what they're doing, right? You go into this room with your 40 classmates and they say, you're going to be a pilot. You're going to be, they give you an envelope, right? And you open it up, and open mine up. You're going to be a surface warfare officer. Was crushed, devastated, went back to my room, skipped my afternoon classes. I think I cried in the shower for like half an hour. And I was like, all right, after I was done feeling sorry for myself, which was I get a day to feel sorry for yourself. I was like, okay, well, let's figure out how to keep the dream alive. So went to the fleet and, then I had to laterally transfer.
How was the fleet?
I tell people, look, combat, BUDS, the SEAL teams is the most mentally and physically challenging thing in the world, hardest thing in the world. I tell people being a surface warfare officer was a suck on my soul. It was a spiritual torment. No, and that's just because right, if you've ever had a job that you didn't like when people say like, oh, I hate my job. I didn't like my job. Like I did not like that job was not for me. And it's not to say there's anything wrong with that job. It's just like, I could not relate to that job. Now I did that job extremely well. And that was my mentality. Like my mentality after getting denied the SEAL teams was like, after you go through all the excuses in your head, it's like, all right, why weren't you picked up? It's because you weren't number one. You weren't the best. And so that became my mentality. It's like, to avoid ever having to experience that again, I better be number one. I better be the best. That way no one can never tell me no again. So that was my mentality going on to the ship. Got my surface war. We deployed. I gave up 30 days of leave right after I graduated. I was the first person, Naval Academy class of 2008, graduated May 23rd. I boarded my ship in Phuket, Thailand on May 27th, and was in the Arabian Gulf conducting amphibious operations in like mid-June, and learned a ton. I learned like best leaders, learned the best leadership lessons actually in the fleet. Was a hard job. but I'm very thankful for, like, it's funny how things work out in life. And like, I'm forever grateful for getting to experience that year and a half on a ship. And like, just, yeah, the resilience it built in me and like the mentality that it built in me. Whatever, like, yeah, it's just funny how things work out.
So how do you get into the teams from there?
Yeah, so put in an application. Best day of my life up to that point. I remember in a parking lot, right out, right on the pier, right next to the USS Pearl Harbor. And I get a phone call from the detailer. Her name was Margaret, the officer detailer. Like, she's a legend in the SEAL teams, like was the detailer for like 40 plus years. She's like, hey, Brandon, like, just to let you know, you've been, selected to go to Buds, and we'll work with your ship's admin to like get you orders there. And I was like, thank you so much. I hung up the phone, and I was in my car, and I was just like let out like, screams of joy. Like, I was pumped to go there. So, yeah.
How was it checking in?
It was awesome. I loved Buds. Like, to the point, like, you coming from the fleet to like going to Buds. It was, I think I love the ruthlessness of Buds. I love the humor of Buds. The instructors are the funniest people on the face of the planet. Like, I loved every second of it. Like, it just not be like, that's where I wanted to be. And so like, even in Hell Week, like I remember like USS Pearl Harbor was out on the water, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, I'm not on that ship. Like, thank you. Blessed to be here, blessed to be getting surf tortured. So
You don't hear that very often.
Yeah. So no, it was great.
What kind of, did you have a tough time at Buds at all? Do you have any hang-ups?
Yeah, like, there's always one thing, I think, for like everybody, even if like someone does things well, and this is the wild one. The tread took me 4 times, which, like, I'm embarrassed to say as a water polo player. All my water polo friends from the academy who were, SEAL officers also, they're like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why can't you tread the water? I was like, dude, I have no idea.
Tried with the tanks?
Yeah, tread with the tanks, right? Your hands out with the fins. And it was treading with the fins, which I think was like, it's a different motion. And so, yeah, the instructors were baffled too. Cause look, I was coming in like first, second place on every swim. And they're like, what the hell is wrong with you, Tseng? Like, you are a water polo player. And so anyways, I end up, getting it on my 4th try. Actually, I was underwater, and the instructors were like, come to the side. I'm like, I wasn't sure, like, if they're like, you failed or not. And it's like, my head's underwater, my hands are up. They're like, get over to the side. And like, finally, like, ran out of breath. They're like, all right. And then you have to like swim across, and like, was dead doing it. Get out. They're like, congrats, Tseng, you passed. Took you 4 tries. And I was like, who
Took you 4 tries.
Yeah. And they're like, you know what you get for having, you being a water polo player and it taking you 4 tries? I was like, what do I get? They're like, 1,008 counts. Go get it. And I just hopped on the pool deck and started doing 1,008 counts, for the next, 2 hours. So, yeah.
Right on. We got to cover Hell Week. Everybody wants to hear about Hell Week. So let's hear about your experience in Hell Week.
Yeah. Let's see. Hell Week 1, loved the beginning, right? Loved Sunday night, loved Breakout. Then like you get into it, right? I think it's Monday night. You feel really sorry for yourself. And at least that's what, like, I think it hits like 24 hours, that high wears off, and you're like, okay, I've been doing this 24 hours. You feel sorry for yourself. And I remember one of my friends was a brown shirt rollback, right? And so he's supporting, and I just ran by, like, I'm running to like chow or whatever. And I was like, Joe, like, is this as crappy as it gets? He's like, yeah, brother, just keep moving forward. And I was like, all right, good. But like, that's when, I want to say majority of the class quits that Monday night because people are feeling sorry for themselves. Second thing that I would call out, so like after that, like then you get into the groove and like you're just like moving forward. I don't think people talk about like how ruthless it is under a boat with people. One of the things I loved was like seeing boat crews kick the underperformers out and like just the viciousness of it. Like when you see someone ducking boat and like their teammates would just punch them in the back of the head and they would like fall over. Like, I don't think like it is like, if you're not carrying your load, the instructors don't have to do anything, right? Your classmates are going to take care of you. So I love that aspect of it. Wednesday night I think it's Wednesday. Yeah. We did camp surf. And I don't know if people, that to me was the worst evolution. So it was, 1 a.m. and for 4 hours, there's like the wind is blowing. It's probably like 50 degrees outside. You're soaking wet. And we're digging a trench with our paddles. And every minute on the minute for 4 hours, we go hit the surf. And your body is so saturated with like salt water, so chafed. Every single time you would jump in that water, it was like shock therapy. It was like a million needles just like crushing my body to the point where right after Hell Week, you never want to get into the ocean again. Mm-hmm. It's because you have this like this, you were just tortured into recognizing like it's not comfortable getting in that water. So that's what I remember. And then fun thing, we did around the world where you're rowing the boats around the entire San Diego or Coronado Peninsula. And one of the instructors brought out a boombox. And they played the techno hit Around the World, like around the world, for the entirety of that like 10-hour evolution. To the point where like at one point, the music stopped and he goes, oh shit, we ran out of batteries, I'll be back. He paddles back, like comes back, 30 minutes later with it bare. He's like, I got new batteries, boys, and like puts it on and you're just like listening it to again. So then I will say, like, again, I love the instructor cadre. Matty Roberts was our first phase instructor. That guy is,
guy's an animal.
He is, like one of the cool, he told us, he's like, look, if you guys are here after Hell Week, I'll tell you how I got the Silver Star, and like told us that story. And to have that, one of the things, again, amazing people, right? But that's your first phase instructor. A lot of people don't know, like he was nominated for the Medal of Honor, and like you get to learn from that person, like how cool is that, right? And like that is the guy who's putting you through the gauntlet. Like I loved every moment of it. So
damn.
Yeah.
So what did it feel like, to graduate buds and SQT? I mean, when you finally got your trident.
It feels good, right? It's a good accomplishment. And then I would claim like the real work starts, right? And it's like, I think the teams do a good job of that. It's like, look, congratulations. You've made it to the community, and now like it doesn't get easier. It gets faster. It gets harder. The expectations are real. We're no longer in training environments. You're getting ready to go to war, and so loved that. Again, I checked in SEAL Team 7. Actually, like one thing that I also again, I don't think a lot of people appreciate this. At least, probably the same for you when you guys were like going through it. But you experience just like in that community, you see a lot of death, like more than any. Like I've been to more, right? You go to a ton of memorials, like a lot of funerals, and that's something that I don't think the public realizes. Like, oh, it's 21, 22, 23-year-old young men are just in those first couple of years going to a ton. The week before we graduated SQT, extortion happened. And one of our classmates, Brock, his brother, Heath, was on that airplane, right? And so it's like very real. We check into SEAL Team 7. I think it's Mike Tatham. He, he died in R&R, but he was deployed to Afghanistan during that time. And so I thought that was kind of, when I reflect back and think about it, that's something I don't think, thankful to be part of the teams, but a lot of people don't get to, that's like one of the things that I think helps shape you as like a young man, being around, all of, war, death, all of it. So
Yeah. What was it like checking into 7 for you?
it was good. Again, those guys were deployed, and so we had like 2 months of, I was going to schools. I went to Tier 1 off-road, which was cool. Got to learn how to drive off-road vehicles. And then when the team got back, they're reorganizing. That's when I got to go deploy with, I got to augment development group. And so, and then, after Pro Dev hit ULT, and that was a ton of fun too.
Yeah. So you check in and you go right into a dev group deployment.
Yeah. So,
that's like winning the lottery too.
yeah, no, exactly. And can cover down on that. But so to be clear, not part of SEAL Team 6, but got to augment them. The SEAL teams were sending junior officers out to basically get experience. And so I spent 3.5 months in Afghanistan, out of Fob Shank and Bagram. And so I got to augment the troop that had killed bin Laden. And I tell people, like, look, I was like basically the squire for the ground force commander. But during that time, got to learn. It was a master class in ISR and targeting. The troop would go out in the night and conduct direct action raids. And then during the day, we were conducting kinetic strikes. And that's where, I got to play, a really nice role as a junior officer, just coordinating those airstrikes, which was a lot of fun.
Did you get to go on any of the hits or?
Didn't get to go on any of the hits, which was, I get it, right? It's like those guys train up with, you're a new guy, right? You earn your way onto that mission. And I was a fresh Navy SEAL with 1.5 months of, at the team. And so, no, I didn't get to go with them.
What, so coming back, I mean, to see the pinnacle of the SEAL teams, like the pinnacle, especially with that, with who you deployed with, year after the bin Laden raid. I mean, did that create some false expectations?
It's a good, yes. Right. A couple times my platoon commander, my troop commander, like, Brandon, yeah, we're not DMNEC, right? We're not DevGru. We get those guys only go out at night, right? Why are we going out during the day, guys? They're like, look, we got to seize terrain. This is our mission. So fortunately, on my deployment to Afghanistan with my platoon, we had a ton of air assets. So that remained the same, but that was a very unique thing for our SEAL element in Afghanistan. But it wasn't to the point where I think it was just part of that learning curve, right? I had seen what, the top tier was doing. And then it's like, okay, look, it's a different mission is kind of like what it was at the end of the day. It's not that, it's just like you have to solve that mission differently than what DevGru was doing with their mission set. Mm-hmm. So understanding that was, I think, very quick to understand that when look, this isn't, we have a different mission than DevGru. This is how we have to execute said mission.
Where did you go? What was your first deployment?
So first deployment was out of Tarankout, Aruzgan, multinational base Tarankout, sort of southeast. We would do helicopter assault force operations into Kandahar, into Aruzgan, into Ghazni, into Zabul. And then we forward staged out of Ghazni, sometimes going, I want to say Paktika and Paktia. Got to go. Our mission was, we were paired up with the 8th Commando Battalion, 8th Kandek, Afghan Commandos, 900 Commando Battalion. Every single mission at that time in the war, it was a 10-to-1 force ratio. We had to bring 10 Afghans out for every single operation. And so we would bring 13, 14 guys and 130 Afghans.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Talk about moving pieces on the battlefield.
Wow.
Yeah.
What'd you think about working with those guys?
It was not, I did not there's pros, there's cons. I would say overall, I did enjoy it. Right. It was, when you go out with that many inexperienced guys, it makes the mission more dangerous. It was very clear to us that probably like 85% of them didn't want to be there. Those guys would sit down in front of like target compounds in front of the fatal funnel. Like they didn't value like, self-preservation. And so now again, there's probably like, you bring 130 out, there's like 15 hard chargers, and like you use those 15 hard chargers. But it was, I appreciated the challenge and the complexity of the operations, multi-day village clearances. It was cool. We got all the air assets in the world, right? Our mission was, hey, this is 2013. America's not going to be here forever. Like we have to train the commandos to stand up on their own. And so that was an interesting mission set. But we were also at that point, 12 years into a war, and it was clear to us, like, look, this is right. It was like, don't get yourself killed, was like kind of a mentality. Over this uncertainty was something that we thought about, like get the mission done. Don't get yourself killed. And like, yeah, take it to the enemy when they show up.
Was it pretty hairy out there at the time, or?
I don't think it was hairy. No, like we got into some good firefights, which I'm like thankful for. And like, I'm glad the team like had that deployment. And we got we'll rack up, like some of the guys got to rack up some EKIA, and I get credit for like some JTAC kills. But I think it's like 1/4 or whatever. But
Let's hear about it.
no, the JTAC stuff. Let's see. There's this one, this was, got our new JTACs, right? We have experienced JTAC, new JTAC's the lead JTAC on this operation. And, I'm working with him, and there's this guy that's taking, pot shots at us, from probably like 1,300 meters away from a mountain, right? And it's like hard to find them. They're moving, and it's indirect fires, right? But we're like, all right, let's bring on C-130 and drop some ordnance on this guy. And turns out the C-130 had not doped in their 30 mic, and like, and so they're shooting at this guy, and we have a rover feed where we can see, and rounds are just missing him, and the guy is running, and he runs, and like the new JTAC, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, they keep missing. Like, why are they missing? And like, right, because he wants to take out this bad guy. He runs probably for about 4.5 minutes, just like smoke going everywhere, like rounds coming in on him. Finally, they drop I want to say it's called a Griffin, GBU-39. It's a glide bomb, because the guy like stops under a tree and tries to like hide under the tree, but we had him on IR footage, and so that was an interesting one. So yeah, it was new JTAC's first JTAC kill, and so yeah.
That was your first one.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Indifferent. I'm like, yeah, I just wanted I just wanted the team to complete the mission. So.
Right on. Where do you go from Afghanistan?
So let's see. While I'm in Afghanistan, my orders were to go, I want to say it was to SEAL Team 2. I had orders to go to the East Coast. During that deployment, I get an email from one of my SQT classmates, another officer at SEAL Team 5. So say, Brandon, you want to hop on the phone? I was like, cool. So I hop on the phone from Afghanistan. He's in Coronado. He's like, hey, I've got family issues. I have to step down from my platoon commander billet at Team 5. He's like, do you want to take it? And I was like, oh, that sounds like awesome. Like, all right, I'll get to go right into a workup. Or like, yeah, I was like, what's the catch? She's like, you're going to go right into a workup. And so I called my wife, said, hey, hon, we can either go to the East Coast, right, and like make that move and go through a pro dev cycle and do a ULT into a deployment. I was like, or we can stay in San Diego. But here's the catch is like, I'm home for a week and then rotating right into ULT. And I was like, what do you want to do? And so she said, like, hey, let's, like, she's like, I'm down for staying in San Diego if you are. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. So got home, checked into SEAL Team 5, ULT started, was off to the races. I think I tracked this because actually the teams were making us track it at the time. 2 years in a row, I was gone 300 days out of 365 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And my wife's like, this isn't normal. I was like, I don't know. All our friends are doing it. It seems pretty normal. She's like, no, it's not. I was like, all right. So, but yeah, so checked into SEAL Team 5, did the workup, deployed to the Pacific.
What are you guys doing over there?
It was a lot of joint partner operations during the time. So I think we sent a lot of people to the joint exercises. We sent element to Korea, sent element to the Philippines, sent an element to the Maldives, like all over the place. I went to Vietnam. I went to Singapore. We did the POTUS detail in Hawaii for President Obama, augmenting Secret Service. That was pretty cool. But yeah, it was a really cool experience.
Right on. Why did you get out?
I wanted a number of a whole host of reasons. I wanted to do something else. I wanted to see what could be done outside of the confines of the military. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Very blessed, excited. I would encourage everybody, actually. I think the amount of accountability and responsibility you get in the military, at such a young age, is one of the most amazing things. I would encourage people to do it. But I wanted to see what could be done outside of a military system. I knew what the career path looked like for officers. In the sense, right? It's okay, I would have to go do an ops job before I could go screen, and then you go screen, you be a troop commander, and you get maybe one or two more pumps, and then you're commanding, and and then you're doing another staff job, and then a group commanding. Again, I got a lot of friends who are doing that. I just was not, commanding a SEAL team was not something that I aspired to do. I absolutely aspired to be a SEAL platoon commander, but, I was interested in other things. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, wasn't happy how things were going in Afghanistan. That was, yeah.
I don't know a whole lot of people that were.
Yeah.
So Shield AI, I mean, that popped on you wanted to do something before you left.
Yeah. So again, kind of like a planner mentality. I want to be a SEAL since I was 10 years old. When I got accepted into business school, I was on deployment. I was based out of Guam. And I was trying to figure out what I want to do next. Was it going to do venture capital? Was it going to do private equity? Was it going to do hedge funds? I was very inspired by entrepreneurs. My dad was became a small business owner at age 50. My brother had sold a wireless power company to Qualcomm. I want to say when he was 24 years old. And so I had those role models in my life. And so eventually landed on, and I think that fit my skill set, right? Leading teams, building culture. And so wanted to do something entrepreneurial. Was really interested in AI and autonomy just as an engineer. That was, of interest to me. Always followed technology. I remember, thinking wow, it would have been, it was 2014. I was it would have been really cool to have been part of that internet wave of companies. What's going to be the next wave? AI and autonomy is what I decided. And lots of people were talking about it at the time. And then was trying to figure out what problems I wanted to solve. And typical entrepreneur story just kept coming back to the problems that I had faced. Right? Problems of military problems of national security, global stability, decided, what, these are actually really important problems. And I remember, again, look up to Elon Musk as an entrepreneur. And he has done a lot of interviews where he talks about was trying, wanted to do something, to progress humankind. It was going to be the internet, sustainable energy, and space, right? And so you have Tesla for sustainable energy, SpaceX for space travel. You have XAI, you had PayPal for, he didn't have XAI at the time, but he had PayPal for the internet. And I was like, what problems is he not working on that are like actually really important for the future of humanity? And I think warfare is like one of those like massive unsolved problems in human history. And so it's like, wow, is there, could work on solving, call it the problem of warfare was something that I was interested in also.
What problem specifically in warfare were you looking to solve?
One of like deterrence, right? Like, and if you look at why countries go to war, like why they don't go to war, because there are a lot of countries have grievances with each other, but they choose not to fight, right? It's expensive, it's costly. And if you look at how America has built this world order, it's because of our military leadership since 1945, right? For the past 80 years, there's been more global prosperity in the world because there's been more global stability in the world. That has been because of like the power projection of the U.S. military. That's right. Nuclear weapons deter nuclear war. The conventional weapon systems that have deterred conventional warfare have been our aircraft carriers, our submarines, our ships. Those have deterred largely state-on-state conflict up until Russia invading Ukraine, like major state-on-state conflict. Obviously, there have been a handful of small examples, but it became, how can you continue to deter warfare just at the conventional level and then also at the asymmetric level? And, my belief is that AI and autonomy has a massive role to play in deterring conflict.
Yeah, I would, but we're going to get heavy into that. I would love to hear what you think the future of warfare looks like. And if pilots, people on ships, commandos, are obsolete.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on that a little bit later. But before we get too far into Shield AI, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
There are a lot of choices out there when it comes to cell phone service, and it feels like more are popping up all the time. But Patriot Mobile isn't just another option. They're different. A company built by people who actually share your values and who are committed to doing things the right way. They're also ahead of the curve when it comes to tech. Patriot Mobile is one of the only carriers with access to all three major U.S. networks, which means reliable, nationwide coverage. You can even have multiple numbers on different networks all on one phone, a true game changer. They offer unlimited data, mobile hotspots, international roaming, internet backup, and more. Everything you'd expect from a top-tier carrier. And switching couldn't be easier. Activate in minutes from home. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade if you want to. Go to patriotmobile.com/SRS or call 972-PATRIOT. And don't forget to use promo code SRS for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/SRS or call 972-PATRIOT. With the holidays almost here, so are the seasonal roles. Businesses are hiring fast. Everything from holiday market staff to ski lift operators. This means that people with certain skills, experience, or even a special license are in high demand and not easy to find. Whether you're hiring for one of these roles or any other role, the best way to find the perfect match for your role is on ZipRecruiter. And right now you can try it for free. It's ZipRecruiter.com/SRS. If you're looking for top talent, ZipRecruiter's matching technology works fast to find them so you don't waste time or money. See quickly how many qualified job seekers in your area are ready to fill your role. And with ZipRecruiter's advanced resume database, you can instantly unlock top candidates' contact info. Let ZipRecruiter find the right people for your roles, seasonal or otherwise. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try it for free. It's ZipRecruiter.com/SRS. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/SRS. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Damn it! If you've enjoyed watching, there is a lot more waiting for you over at Vigilance Elite Patreon. All right, Brandon, we're back from the break. I need to work on my shooting. That was a little rough out there, but
Good break.
Good time,
I
right?
mean, it was a little rough for me too, but
so I want to get into, why you're here, Shield AI.
Yep.
So you started it in 2015.
2015.
What was the vision?
Look, I believe in a world of autonomous systems. I think they're going to have a profound impact on humanity. As it relates to the defense world, I just fundamentally believe that autonomous systems are like swarms of autonomous systems are going to be the most strategic conventional deterrent of the 21st century. And I think it's important for the U.S. to lead here. And so wanted to start a company that realized this vision. I think there are a couple people talking about it in 2014, Deputy Secretary of Defense Bob Work, but what I was seeing was no one was really working on it because it requires a lot of software expertise to actually build the AI and autonomy. And that's not what the traditional defense primes are known for. They're not known for their software systems. They're known for building the aircraft carriers, the submarines, the fighter jets of the world. But the best of AI and autonomy was all going to Silicon Valley at the time.
I know you guys have a bunch of different projects, but what overall, what is Shield AI?
Mission is to protect service members and civilians with artificial intelligence systems. In pursuit of this mission, we have been building and proliferating the world's best AI pilot. Easiest way to think about an AI pilot is self-driving technology for unmanned systems. Why is that important? It enables unmanned systems to operate without GPS, without communications, or while GPS or communications are jammed. It enables them to operate without a remote pilot, and then it enables the concept of swarming or teaming, where they are able to share information with each other, read and react, and work together as a team.
So all the different stuff that you're making, these aren't piloted from somebody in Nevada or
No, they are piloted by an onboard autonomy stack, an AI pilot. And again, if you've ever driven a Tesla or been in a Waymo where it's just navigating the streets, executing the mission of dropping you off from point A to point B, making decisions about what to do, same type of technology, but for military applications.
Damn. So what was that's like, it's just a huge thing to take on, especially, coming out of the SEAL teams. Where do you even start with that idea?
Look, I think you actually start with like the vision, right? And I asked myself, and then you work backwards from there. But, in 2015, I asked myself, what does the military of 2035 look like? And what is the role that AI and autonomy plays? I decided that AI and autonomy should be powering, commanding, maneuvering every single military asset under the sun. And then you say, okay, well, how do we get there? Like in BUDS, like in the SEAL teams, just one step at a time. And so we started with a problem that I was super familiar with, clearing buildings of threats. And so our first product, we put an AI pilot on a quadcopter, and it would go inside buildings and structures completely autonomously, looking for threats.
No shit, completely autonomously.
Yep.
Has that been deployed?
It has been deployed to Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Israel, Ukraine. It's been widely deployed. It's been used, I'm super proud of the product. The quadcopter market for the military back in 2015 to 2000, honestly, maybe even now, it was a very small market. But the mission impact that we got to have, I'm very proud of. the best of the best. Soft forces have used it on operations. It has absolutely brought guys home back safely to their families. Super proud of that product. Couldn't build a large business from just that product, and so had to expand. And we executed climbing the aviation food chain, which led us to, autonomous F-16s, autonomous VBATs, and now it's like we're just making, like we're working with every prime contractor to make their systems autonomous.
Wow. I mean, what is it? I mean, so, one of the interesting things about autonomous warfare or, drones specifically is it's everything from clearing a building. I don't know if they have weapons capabilities on these quadcopters or not. Do they? We would not ship it with them, but folks have figured out how to strap their own things. But that's not we don't even make these quadcopters anymore because we've had to in the same way Tesla doesn't make a sports car anymore. We were used as a stepping stone to get to other markets, but other folks have put things on these quadcopters. I mean, it's everything from, like I said, the small quadcopter that's clearing buildings to, I mean, the latest thing that you've made, I think, is with 2,000 miles. 2,000 mile range, outmaneuvering an F-35.
Yeah, weighs about 18,000 pounds. Yeah.
And that's just wild to even think about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's it like, seeing your product, your innovation get implemented into the SEAL teams where you came from?
Yeah. It's like what I care most about. It's not like the size of the company. It's not the valuation. It truly is like when our products make an impact for our customers, the warfighter, at the end of the day. That's when I get, the hair stands up on my arms still, every single time. It doesn't matter. And the cool thing at this stage in the game is that is happening at increasing frequency. And so I remember, look, we did a really cool test. I want to say this was back in 2017. The SEAL teams they filmed it. They called it the John Henry test because man versus machine. And they sent the quadcopter into a house clearing problem down at La Posta. And they gave a SEAL squad the exact same problem. Quadcopter, right? And solve the problem faster. And at the end of this problem, this house clearing problem, there's a houseborne IED, which was a way for the SEAL teams to say yeah, it doesn't matter. That's, you cleared the building, but you still get blown up. And so seeing the reaction from the guys after that, they're like, okay, I can see why this is a valuable capability. Even with all its flaws, and it had a lot of flaws back in 2017, 2018 timeframe, but they took it overseas, found utility out of it. And so, I was very proud of that product. And actually working a lot with the Army also was probably even a bigger user of the product than the SEAL teams were. And again, this was early days innovation. Holy smokes, the team must have been 40 people at this stage in the game. But again, proud of no one had ever seen this thing before. A lot of people had talked about autonomous systems. They put it in their 10, 15-year roadmap. And here it was completely, going through these house clearing problems by itself.
Damn. I mean, are you on site when these exercises are going on? Or?
Yeah, we were. We were working hand in hand with these guys.
So what's it like when you see something that you've innovated, something that you've developed outperform the same community that you came from? I mean, is there a lot of pushback? I would think that, it's taken a job, right? And so a job that there's a lot of sweat, blood, tears, dedication, drive that goes, we just talked about, your pipeline into the SEAL teams. It's there's a lot of passion to become a SEAL. And then to have you show up with a drone that's watch this.
It augments a mission. I don't want to say it takes a job. And I think everybody understands that. And the thing that I think a lot of folks understood in the SEAL teams and SOCOM writ large was, hey, this thing, close quarters combat is a really cool thing to train to. It's a lot of fun doing it. It's also one of the most dangerous things that a soldier, a soft, warrior, does in terms of a mission. And so, again, clearing buildings, clearing tunnels, it sounds really cool until you start taking fire from the other side and you say, look, how is there a better way to do this? And that's where I think SOF has been a great partner, not just like from the quadcopter, but all the way up to like all of our products, because they're always asking the question like, is there a better way to do this? And so that's been just like a positive mentality. But yeah, it was fun doing the tests, the exercises. Again, they were great partners. Their innovation cell working directly with us. Very proud of like what we accomplished. But at the same time, like is at small scale. And that's why we had to figure out how to like build other products, because they're just not a lot of people, unfortunately, care about the soft, fighter or like the infantry soldiers. It pales in comparison in terms of like the amount of funding that's going towards other capabilities.
Mm-hmm. So was there any, I mean, did they implement it immediately or did they?
Yeah, they took it over to the battlefield. They used it, right? And you get feedback, right? It sucked in this scenario. Why wasn't it working here? And like, that's when like team would solve bugs, solve problems, send it back. We fixed this. They'd use it, again, it was successful in a lot of operations, it was unsuccessful in some. And that's just like the name of the game in terms of like early stage, highly technical products. But yeah, again, I'm very proud of that product because 100% used on some of the most important missions that this country does, and 100% brought guys back home safely to their families. And so I can't go into those missions, but missions where HBIDs went off, SVests went off,
wow.
Those types of missions where it's like if there had been guys inside that building, like we all know what that looks like. So, or you and I know what that looks like.
Wow. So you're always getting direct feedback from the field on how these things are going.
Yep.
Can you talk about, if you can't talk about these specific missions and what they were for, I mean, can you talk about some of the successes and failures that you saw the product doing?
Yeah, just simply it would go inside these buildings. In terms of like the SVest world, right? Drones had been hunting bad guys for 20 plus years, and all of a sudden the Americans show up with a drone that goes inside buildings. And so we have seen terrorists see this thing come inside a building and clack themselves off.
Shit.
Yeah.
What were some of the failures? What were some of the things?
You'd have trouble in like highly dusty conditions. Our first generation product used a LiDAR, our first generation quadcopter. And so LiDAR, when you're operating in dusty areas, it spins up a lot of, particle sand in the air. And every single time that LiDAR is scanning, it's getting a reflection back from that dust. And so that caused a lot of challenges, a lot of headaches in the early days, because simply, that's where our customer was operating, in these dusty desert-like environments where people lived in mud huts, or there's just sand and, or there's war zones where there's just like dust everywhere. And then when you fly a quadcopter that's spinning up all that dust, that would be a challenge. Going through really small doorways and tunnel systems was another challenge, because when you like the wind vortices that these things are like when they're flying, it's sucking them into the wall because you're flying in such close proximity. And so that's just like a controls challenge that we had to solve. But those are like some of the headaches and problems that you have to solve where the customer uses it. They're like, oh, what the hell? It doesn't work, right? Customer at the end of the day just wants their product to work. And so the other good thing about that soft customer is that like they're a very demanding customer, but they're also like understanding of where a product is in its maturity life cycle.
Interesting. I mean, how small are these things?
These things were about 2.5 pounds this big. Yeah, size, like it fit through a standard doorway. That was one of our product requirements.
So I mean, how would it be implemented? I mean, we were just talking about, doing hits and all this stuff. And so what exactly in the soft world, because that's all I can relate to.
It was primarily used in call-out operations. So, right, it wasn't going to be used in a dynamic like HR mission or anything like that. But like when you have a deliberate target where you're executing a call-out, where, right, you can think of like for the non-military audience, like the FBI surrounding a house, like come out with your hands up, right? There's pros and cons to executing an operation that way. But during those types of operations, you execute a call-out, right? people would come out of the building. It's like, well, let's go make sure everybody's out of the building. You send a quadcopter in, or you send the quadcopter in first. Those types of operations.
Damn. I mean, what did that wind up developing into? What was the next product?
Yeah. So a couple things. One, to the point where like recognize really quickly that, hey, this market is vicious, small. Everybody thinks of quadcopters as toys. This is, again, back in 2018, 19, 20. Like, there's not real money flowing towards these quadcopter products. We said, hey, we have to figure out how to get onto more strategic, strategic platforms, strategic capabilities. That's where a lot of the defense dollars were moving. So what we ended up doing was, during the time, we decided, hey, we're gonna buy another platform. So made that decision in late 2019, 2020. There was a couple acquisition targets that we were looking at. Ended up in 2021 buying two companies, both at the same time. One of the companies, Martin UAV, they made the VBAT. The other company, Heron Systems, they were working on AI and autonomy for fighter jets. And so what we were able to do is, hey, let's put the AI pilot on the VBAT, which is, again, you think of it as like a miniature Predator Reaper drone. And then, we wanted access to these programs where we could put AI pilots onto fighter aircraft.
I mean, so we'll get into the fighter aircraft here in a little bit, but I mean, how do they think? I mean, is it literally like to the quadcopter all the way up to the, you just called it the XBAT?
Yeah.
I mean, how is it just, you switch it on and point it in the right direction?
Yeah. So for the quadcopter, there was a button on the side. You press it, it like spin its rotors and like take off from your hand and like go inside the buildings. The way that like it works from a technical perspective, and like this is a simplification of it, but there's a series of software modules, and every self-driving car or humanoid robot is working like this. And like every one of Shield AI's products is working like this. The software modules that make up this AI pilot or this autonomy stack, you have a state estimation module. State estimation is like, where in the world am I? You have a mapping module. It builds a map. You have a controls module. You have, that's like how to actuate motors, your steering mechanisms. You have a reasoning model, what we call global reasoning. You can think of this as like the mission. Is the mission to go inside a building and clear it of threats? Is the mission to dogfight F-16s? Is the mission to find surface-to-air missile systems? Like what the mission is. That's what the reasoning module is. Then you have like a path planning module, which is like, okay, what are the steps that I'm going to take to execute said mission? So those are the different software modules that make up an autonomy stack. The way that, it operates without GPS, right? It's building a map of the room, its environment, whether it's using cameras, whether it's using LiDAR, whether it's using radars, to basically build a map of its environment. And then it's estimating its position based on the map that it's built. Again, I think a lot of people try to like overcomplicate autonomous systems. At the end of the day, like you and I, we are autonomous systems, and we operate the same way these robots do, in the sense that we sense the world with our five senses. Then we think about the world using our brain, and then we actuate our muscles, supported by our skeleton, to maneuver around the world. When we come into this room, like we don't think about it this way, but like we've made a map of this room in our head, and we can now navigate off of this map. I know that wall is 10 feet away. This wall is 8 feet away, right? You're 6 feet from me. These autonomous systems are doing the exact same thing. And just like we learn from our experiences, these things are learning from their experiences.
How do they learn from their experiences?
Yeah. So one of the principal ways that we developed a methodology called reinforcement learning. And so this was pioneered. There's probably like academic papers. I would say like it became pretty famous with like AlphaGo, AlphaStar, where it was they would put these AlphaGo, beat a world champion at the game of Go, right? It's any time. Reinforcement learning is really a good learning methodology when the number of variables or outcomes are massive, right? In the multiple, like trillions of outcomes, right? In which I couldn't bring up what the outcomes of the game of Go are, but right, it's, it's almost uncountable. Yeah. Right. Same thing with like the game of StarCraft, which was Alpha Star. It's like the number of like moves are uncountable in terms of like the number of scenarios. That's where you find something like reinforcement learning really shine, right? In the real world, the number of moves that you have are uncountable. And so what you're doing is you're taking, you basically give it a goal, and then behaviors that you believe are positive, you reinforce those behaviors, you reward those behaviors. And then things that are negative, like you don't reward those behaviors. And what you'll do is spin up millions of simulations where these things are just playing against each other millions of different times, and they just continue to improve. And then you have your engineers, right? They architect this training environment, this, I think we've called it a dojo before, but they just keep learning from those experiences. You check in, you validate, you cross-validate, you make sure it works in the real world. And that's how you're teaching these systems anything from clearing a room to dogfighting to, hunting surface-to-air missile systems to navigating, any unmanned system.
Wow. I mean, what do you envision? I mean, you had mentioned, what does warfare look like in 2035? And I mean, obviously, it's a lot of autonomous systems.
Yep.
Be a little more specific. I mean, what does it look like? I mean, we had talked about, I was just talking about, did you get any pushback from the SEAL teams or the SOF community about, is this going to take our job? Which, my perspective is, yeah, it probably will eventually take your job. But, that sucks for somebody that's aspiring to be, a SEAL, a Green Beret, infantry, whatever, right? But I mean, for the broader consciousness of the country and even the world, I mean, that's less people coming home in bags.
Yep.
It's, and so I mentioned at breakfast, I interviewed, Palmer Luckey, and kind of asked him the same question, what does it look like? Is this going to replace all personnel military wide eventually? He says no. He knows a hell of a lot more about this than I do, but when he's talking about, and you too, I mean, when you guys are talking about this stuff, I mean, it's making pilots obsolete. It's making, Dino Mavroukas, another SEAL who's doing autonomous surface warfare vehicles. It makes a lot of naval vessels obsolete. I mean, the drone that, the quadcopter, that's taken somebody's, job. And so I'm just curious, I mean, which I just want to be clear. I think that is a good thing for the nation. Less deaths on our own side and more is obviously better.
Yeah.
So, what is your vision? What does it look like in 2035?
In 2035, so there's like directly in 2035, humans still play a massive role. I think it's going to be a human machine team augmented by swarms of autonomous systems, but you are still going to have it will not have proliferated. Autonomous systems will not have completely proliferated by that stage of the game in terms of how militaries operate. Still going to be a heavy reliance on humans for a number of different mission sets, augmented often by machines. If you look at I don't know what the time span is. I'm going to say 100 years simply because no one will be get upset at me for making 100-year prediction. Yeah, I don't think you see humans playing a big role in warfare 100 years from now. I think that actually happens probably sooner, where countries, it becomes a, robot on robot deterrence, where, right. And I think that's it's a good place, right? Where it's we're not, neither side you want to be sending, young men and women to fight each other over, often what I would call things that we shouldn't be fighting over. Mm-hmm. So I do think you'll see a lot of autonomous systems in 2035. I don't think they're going to be executing every single mission that the Department of War executes on. But I think people are going to see holy smokes, in the same way we in the soft community saw what, the Reaper drones, the Predator drones could do for us from 2000 to 2020. I think you're going to see people say, holy smokes, look at what autonomous systems can do for us. We like need to double down, triple down, 10x down on like these types of systems, because they're going to have massive strategic impacts on the battlefield. And happy to talk, about why.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I think, and like, this is why I believe autonomy, if I had to like point out like the most strategic technologies in warfare for the past 90 years, 100 years, it'd be like, our air power. And behind that, you have like, our nuclear triad, our nuclear submarine, super important. In the 80s, we developed stealth technology and GPS guided munitions. Then we adopted large drones from 2000 to 2020. And I think the next evolution, which is really a transformation, is this proliferation of autonomous, highly intelligent autonomous systems that are ubiquitous on the battlefield. Now, from like, again, an engineer, think about like first principles. And if you look at like one of the principles of warfare, or actually like two of them, it's like mass and maneuver. Mass, super important, right? Those who are able to apply mass and maneuver on the battlefield more effectively than others have always been more successful in the history of conflict, right? Larger armies, just with mass, often won wars from like 4000 BC to frickin', the 1800s. Then maneuver started becoming more important, and now it's like, how can you maneuver mass most effectively? Even when I was doing my first augment, I was with the ground force commander who conducted the Bin Laden raid. He was kind enough to mentor me. And he's like, look, what we do at DevGru is like really cool. He's like, we need our brothers or sisters in the Army and the Marine Corps to bring the mass to the fight. You need mass to occupy terrain. You need mass to create stability. And like, soft forces just don't bring the mass or the heft to the fight. And that's why you need the Army and the Marine Corps to bring that level of mass. What autonomy does is it unlocks the concept of near infinite, intelligent, maneuverable mass, where you are no longer limited by the number of personnel you have, right? The number of warfighters that the United States could theoretically field, right? Call it able-aged, men and women from age, 18 to 55, there's a finite number of people. You're like with AI and autonomy, and combined with, industrial production, you can field 10 million, 100 million drone-sized armies to employ mass effectively on the battlefield. And that's why it's such a big deterrent. And that's why I think the United States has to lead. That's why it's like the most strategic, AI and autonomy being the most strategic capability for the next 50 years.
Wow. Damn. I mean, who are your competitors? Not just domestic, but I mean foreign competitors. I mean, we seem to be, from my perspective, on the cutting edge of all this autonomous warfare type stuff. But I mean, everybody that I bring in here is talking about China.
Yeah.
China's right on our ass, if not a little bit ahead. It's with AI, with energy, with autonomous systems, shipbuilding, all that kind of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
who are the key players in the world?
In the world, I think China is the key player that matters. Now, the good news is the United States remains best in the world at software, at AI, at autonomy. But like that, in no means we should be complacent. I think the Chinese are highly innovative. They are able to mobilize resources in a faster way than the United States can mobilize resources, at least state-sponsored resources. And their iteration cycle, like how quickly they go from version 1 to version 2 to version 3 to version 4 to version 5, is much faster than the USA. And I've been in a number of classified briefings that actually show their ability to iterate and obviously like can't go into like what those timelines are or what those capabilities are, but suffice to say, like no one should feel good about it because like as Elon Musk says, like all that matters is your cycle time. All that matters is your iteration cycle. If you suck at something, but you can get really good at it really fast, then it becomes a problem. Like it doesn't matter if you're here and if China's here and we're here, like we shouldn't feel good if China's accelerating like this and we're just kind of like, moving forward at a slower clip because eventually they pass us. So yeah, they're by far number one. And they understand the technology. They've made claims they want to build 1 million drone sized army, right? And we're seeing that more and more from countries throughout the world, basically stating that they're moving towards 1 million plus drone armies.
What, corporate espionage is a major problem, especially in the defense tech space, with Chinese nationalists coming into the country and getting into our schools and embedding into companies. And so I'm just curious. Do you take that seriously?
Yeah.
You're a major, you and your company could be detrimental to China. Pretty much. We just talked about the drug trafficking going across. You got a part in that. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. No, we take security like very seriously. It's the hard thing is, right? You're in the intelligence community. A state-sponsored actor is like a really hard thing to stop, right? If China can steal the plans for the Joint Strike Fighter, right? It is it's like it's hard to stop someone that is truly determined to take, no matter like what safeguards that you put in place. And I go back to like, right, and the SEAL teams would talk about speed versus security, right? And I would tell my platoon, like speed is a type of security, right? If you're iterating quicker, then that is going to make you like more secure, right? If you're just like, because great, if a state-sponsored actor is stealing something, hopefully it's going to take them a couple years to like crack through encryption. And then all of a sudden, like they're a couple years behind, right? And they're just getting started. And hopefully by then you're on iteration 10 in terms of what you've been doing, right? And this is very similar to like, right, Elon Musk not patenting anything from SpaceX because he's like, he's assuming that, right, they're going to steal rocket plans at some point in time. And so what matters is just like moving faster than the adversaries. Moving faster than the competition is what matters at the end of the day. Yes, you have to take like basic security protocols. And yes, you have to invest in security and you have to be aware. But like at a core first principles level, I think like what matters in business, what matters for our country is an emphasis on speed over security. And I think the US actually has been more challenged in this world where it's always like compartmentalized, move things. Security slows things down in a lot of ways sometimes where it's like, no, we have to be moving at speed.
Interesting. Let's talk about the expat. We were talking about the two companies that you acquired.
The VBAT. The
VBAT, excuse me. The VBAT. Sorry. What is that?
So the VBAT, 180-pound vertical takeoff, launch, and land aircraft, does the mission of a Predator Reaper at fraction of the cost. ISR and targeting mission. Does it differently than these larger Group 5. They call them Group 5 drones. VBAT is a Group 3 drone, but essentially it is. Conducting ISR and targeting. So we've deployed that thing to, like, our big wins have been in Ukraine. They have been in the Caribbean Sea most recently, but that's where it's like provided massive value to our customers. Takes off and lands like a SpaceX rocket. That's like logistics footprint is tiny. Those are like some of like the key value. AI piloted, able to operate where GPS and communications are jammed. That's where, right on the Ukrainian battlefield, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, where we've been able to have some pretty unique and rare success.
So these things vertically take off.
Yes. Yep.
Can you go into why that is so important?
Yeah. So vertical takeoff, launch, and land, and this goes to the UAP that's in your backyard that we're going to talk about. But why is that important? It's runways are massive infrastructure. They're massive targets. All right. And so you can't really hide a runway. So when a peer adversary, that's one of the first things that they're going to target. Actually, like the Ukrainians, when President Biden enabled them to use ATACMS into Russia, first thing the Ukrainians went after were runways, right? Actually, then with their special operation where they had a bunch of, these are like FPV drones that they used to blow up Russian assets, those, they were targeting runways and the equipment on runways because they knew where all these things were because, again, runways, very stationary, high value infrastructure that can massively disrupt operations. And so that's like, you want to, in this world where warfare is incredibly dynamic, where the enemies have long-range missile systems that can hit your runways, where your adversaries know you look at their priority list of targets, number one is runway, right? It's an aircraft carrier. It's a stationary runway in the Pacific. That's the first thing they're going after because every adversary wants to take away the U.S. and our allies' principal advantage, which is air superiority. So they're going after your runways. What vertical takeoff, launch, and land, besides getting out of runways, it allows you to be very tactical, very maneuverable. The Ukrainians and the Russians, they're moving their strategic equipment every 10 minutes because they're just sitting targets. So you have to be mobile. If you're tied to a runway, you're not very mobile.
How would these be deployed? Are they?
Yeah.
How many of them get deployed?
Yeah. So the VBATs, theoretically, like a swarm, you could use a swarm of VBATs that would be, it becomes like an operational challenge to actually deploy swarms, more of a logistics challenge than anything. But the way that the Ukrainians are using them, they're putting them in the back of Sprinter vans, going to a launch point, launching, moving, commanding the thing, landing it somewhere else, right? Again, I don't think a lot of folks, if you haven't been over there, realize how dynamic the battlefield is at this stage in the game. It's just constant movement, shoot and move, shoot and move, shoot and move, but done in the essence where it's if you're not doing it, you're just getting your target, you're a sitting duck. So you have to have this mobile equipment. You still have to have the ability to conduct ISR and targeting, but you're just limited, not just from that runways are targets, but also the proliferation of surface-to-air missile systems. Make large, exquisite aircraft very vulnerable. Whether it's, everybody saw our Stinger missiles, or not they saw the Ukrainians shooting down Russian helicopters with Stinger missiles. They saw that in 1980s in Afghanistan. They saw it again in Ukraine, and just augmented by other surface-to-air missile systems. It's really impossible, using large, exquisite platforms, and even too dangerous for manned platforms to operate in these highly contested environments. And I say contested, I mean lots of surface-to-air missile systems, lots of GPS jammers, lots of communications jammers.
When they are deployed, are they? It's just so foreign to me. You go to Bagram and you see everything. You go to BIOP and you see helicopters, fighter, everything, right? From C-130s to whatever, your fighter jets to Chinooks, Apaches, all of that. And so because of the vertical takeoff, a couple of questions. Are they dispersed throughout the country?
Yeah.
In onesies and twosies or
That's exactly right? You're pushing capability to the lower echelons. Mm-hmm. And that's actually right? When I got to do my commando mission in Afghanistan, I had a full stack of air supporting me. And so I was able to have outsized effect on the battlefield because a lot of incredibly strategic capability was pushed to a lower echelon element, right? A SEAL platoon in Afghanistan. And so what these countries are doing, they're pushing this great capability to lower echelons. It causes a lot of challenges for the adversaries, right? They don't know where they are because they're distributed. They're small. They don't have a massive infrastructure footprint. And so you're creating dilemmas where a dilemma for the adversary being I don't know where where these things are, where they're launching from, where they're landing from. And that's like, it causes a lot of problems for the enemy if you don't know what your adversary is doing, right? If you don't know what the other guys are doing.
Are they dedicated to specific units?
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Okay. Okay. And so I mean, that could mean a whole array of different capabilities, you know, with one, you know, with your product, the VBAT. And so, I mean, if you have one mission that's an ISR mission, you know, it's surveillance, detection, stuff like that, and then you have a kinetic mission. I mean, how do you tell the machine what you're going to do, like what the mission is?
Yeah. So these basically, right, the way to think about it is you're training a system to learn a mission, right? And that becomes, you can think of it as like a library of missions, and then you're going to check out said mission for, like, check out the book, check out the mission from the said library for what you're going to be executing. So that's like the, you know, probably the easiest way to explain it, but it's not, you're not pre-planning a mission, right? But you're saying, this is the mission I want to execute. The good thing is like every single military mission has been written in pretty like good detail and description in like Army field manuals, in, you know, the infantry squad books, right? In like every air operations manual. These missions are well described. And the cool thing is, like, software engineers can take those descriptions and then turn them into, you know, a software package, you know, a software mission package.
And you guys do both?
Yeah.
Build the product, or you build the hardware and the software?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Was it always like that?
It was out of a necessity, right? When we wanted we started off with the quadcopter. We said, hey, are there any other quadcopters that can carry the sensors, the compute, and the package that we need to do to make a product? And the answer was like, no, those didn't exist. And so, we decided to, hey, we're going to have to build our own quadcopter. So we built a hardware engineering team, built that product. And then when we decided to like move up the aviation food chain, a big reason for that was what, like, I could tell a 4-star general, 4-star admiral, or like, you know, an undersecretary all day, every day, that this AI pilot that's flying a quadcopter, you can put it on F-16. But back in like 2018, 2019, everybody's like, nah, like, I don't believe that, right? So we were like, hey, we need another piece of hardware to demonstrate that this AI pilot is transferable from platform to platform to platform. That led to the acquisition of the VBAT. We're like, okay, now we can put the AI pilot on the VBAT. Now you see the AI pilot running on a quadcopter, you see it running on a VBAT. We bought Heron Systems, and, you know, that won the DARPA Alpha dogfight. And then we're the first company in the world to fly the F-16 completely autonomously. Now you see the AI pilot running on an F-16. And since then, now we've put the AI pilot on 15 different platforms: one-way attack drones, unmanned ground vehicles, you know, large target drones, jet-powered drones, where I think everybody at this stage in the game in 2025, people realize, hey, the software is actually transferable, portable from system to system. And again, this is something that we architected our autonomy stack from the get-go, right, with that vision of a world of autonomous systems. And so, like, Shield AI stands alone in our ability to integrate onto platform really rapidly. One of the cool things we can take, we've integrated on a variant of the Lakota helicopter. What used to take 40 engineers and like tens of millions of dollars and 2 years to do on our quadcopter, we can now do with a couple $100,000, 3 engineers in 3 months on something like a Lakota helicopter, or something like a jet-powered drone.
Check this story out. A new discovery found a massive trove of gold coins in the Czech Republic, minted by a long-lost civilization. It's from before the 2nd century BC. They also found silver coins among artifacts. I mean, the proof is there. Not only have gold and silver been valued for thousands of years, but they can physically last that long too. Just another reason why I'm partnered with the award-winning company Goldco. They sell gold and silver, and they do an amazing job with it. So if you're ready to learn how gold and silver can help you protect your savings, I want you to go to SeanLikesGold.com. you can get a free 2025 gold and silver kit. Plus, learn how you could get 10% in free bonus silver. It's the best silver offer out there. Don't miss this one. Go to SeanLikesGold.com or call 855-936-GOLD. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. The cost of everything is still out of control, and many of us are relying on credit cards. If that debt is piling up, you're not alone. Americans collectively owe over $1 trillion in credit card debt. You might have considered reaching out to American Financing, but hesitated because you don't want to give up your low mortgage rate. Well, there's good news. They've created the Smart Equity Loan, a solution designed to help you take control of your finances without touching your current mortgage. Unlike a HELOC, which can have varied interest rates, the Smart Equity Loan offers a fixed rate. That means one predictable monthly payment, giving you peace of mind. This loan allows you to leverage the equity in your home to pay off high-interest debt, free up your cash flow, and keep your existing low mortgage rate intact. It only takes 10 minutes to get started with no upfront or hidden fees. Call American Financing today and start saving now. 866-781-8900. That's 866-781-8900. Or americanfinancing.net/SRS. So when you're talking about, drone storms with the VBAT, I mean, these are big devices. Big.
Yeah, they're 180 pounds. They stand like 9 feet tall, I think. They're not, but again, they fit in the back of a Sprinter van, like in terms of like, so they're big. They're not like F-16 big. Yeah.
And so if you're gonna do a swarm of these things, I mean, do they all know what each other is doing?
Yeah, exactly. They're sharing information with each other. And so, again, building that map, sharing that worldview with each other, sharing position, sharing friendly position, enemy position, the same way, like if we were doing an operation together, I hop on a radio, I can share a lot of information with you. These things are doing the exact same thing.
Just faster.
Yeah.
A lot faster.
Yeah. Superhuman speeds.
I mean, is it real time? Like
We're doing
it's getting
things,
ready to engage something.
Yeah, we've done things
other ones already
with
know.
fighter jets. Like one of the things I've learned about air warfare is like if you're doing like fighter jet tactics with whether like multiple fighter jets, like 4 of them in the air, right? The coordination is actually like a really, really important thing in terms of like executing the tactics. And it's a really hard thing, even for the most experienced fighter pilots to pull off. We've had lifelong fighter pilots at Shield AI who are like, look, I could never get my fighter pilot squadron to do what this AI just did, right? Like it's wildly impressive, like the accuracy and the speed with which they are coordinating with each other, reading and reacting off each other.
Wow. Let's talk about the DARPA Alpha dogfight.
Yeah.
What was that?
So DARPA Alpha dogfight, it was, so go back to like, you had Alpha Go, you had Alpha Star. DARPA's like, I believe that we could do an AI pilot dogfight to show that, basically a great credit to DARPA. It was basically show that the value that these systems could be able to provide. And so what it was is there's a number of companies that participated. It was AI pilot versus AI pilot, dogfighting in simulation, F-16s. The other good thing that I like about it is like it was unclassified, so we can talk about it. And AI pilot versus AI pilot in simulated dogfights. And what Shield AI ended up doing, right? What Heron Systems, a Shield AI company, ended up doing was we ended up winning the Alpha dogfight, where we defeated every single AI pilot in this dogfighting competition. It was like a ladder, right? You beat them, you move on, a playoff bracket, and then the winner, we got to go up against an actual fighter pilot in simulation, a fighter weapons school pilot, a Top Gun, and I want to say we won 5-0 in that competition, right? And so what that did is basically say like, hey, and DARPA did that to basically say like, look, this is why we should invest in this capability, this technology. And it wasn't to say, hey, let's, build autonomous F-16s, but as we build this next generation of uncrewed fighter jets, a lot of people call them collaborative combat aircraft. We can actually have an AI pilot and autonomy stack that is, running these aircraft.
Dude, I mean, you're probably like most overachievers, but I mean, what does that feel like to see your company's innovations outdo everything? I mean, do you even take the time to self-reflect and think about like the magnitude of what?
Unfortunately, I don't. Just because it's like, I think it's really cool. Again, I don't. It doesn't. The thing that it's when there's like mission impact. That's what is like truly does it for me. And I don't say that as like a talking point, but it's like truly like. When the products do something, that's what like I really care about. Yes, like the innovation is cool, the capabilities are cool. I'm very proud of the team, but like unfortunately, you see a lot of companies, right, in the military space that were just innovating for the sake of innovation versus actually building a capability that's going to make a difference on the battlefield. And so that's like what I care about. I don't do enough reflection. I don't do enough. My wife's like, you never celebrate anything. I don't like.
Sounds familiar.
Like, you get it, right? I actually love there's an old Kobe Bryant clip when they had won like game like 3 of the NBA finals, and they're like, Kobe, we can't get a smile from you. He's like, what's there to be happy about? Like, job finished, job's not finished. And that is like, the mentality that I have. So.
Yeah, I am plagued by the same thing. Although I will say last night when the XBAT got dropped off, I was like, I can't fucking believe this thing's here. I went home and I was like, told my wife, I was like, you got to come out here and see this with the kids. Like, we have America's aerial defense and offensive system that nobody knows about sitting in our fucking front yard right now.
No, I'm
have to see
super
this.
pumped to unveil it on your show.
It's just wild to me. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. But you want to talk about the XBAT?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about the XBAT. Now that we're talking about it. All right, so XBAT, just some background. Shield AI, when we think about hardware, like we want to build hardware's, really effing hard to build. It is because you're stuck with the design choices that you make for a long time. Software, you can quickly like iterate on the design choices that you make. There's certainly like there are challenges in architecting a good software system, but same in hardware, it's just like harder to change things once you're bending steel and metal. So you have to get it right out of the gate. And then hardware is just like when you're dealing in the real physical world, everything's harder. Sensors fail, right? Computers have challenges, right? Sensors will fail for milliseconds on like average. And like, there's just so many hard things about building hardware. So Shield AI is very deliberate about the hardware that we build. Has to be absolutely transformative. For VBAT was, hey, we're going to transform ISR and targeting, right? We need more intelligence. McChrystal, very famous for saying intelligence drives operations. Like if we can transform ISR and targeting with VBAT, like that's why we decide to buy VBAT and go with it. But we're not looking to build 26 different hardware products out there. Like we are an AI and autonomy company. We build amazing aircraft. And we have these great assets. We have a software engineering asset that's world-class. We have a hardware engineering asset that's world-class. And so we had to ask ourselves, okay, we've done VBAT. What's next? What's the next piece of hardware that we want to build? Do we want to build a one-way attack drone? Do we want to build a USV, a maritime platform? Do we want to build a hypersonic missile? And so after great deliberation and great credit to our head of our aircraft business, Armor Harris, came from SpaceX, came up with this thing called the XBAT. And so what is XBAT? XBAT is a first of its kind vertical takeoff, launch and land, multi-role combat strike jet, platform that it, is AI piloted. It is the first airplane in the history of airplanes that has both, or it doesn't require a runway and doesn't require a human pilot. It's AI piloted and it's vertical takeoff, launch, and land. And from that, there are a massive number of benefits to the platform. One of the big benefits, right? If I talk to the geographic combatant commanders, right? These are the 4-stars, admirals and generals running Indo-PACOM, running EUCOM, that are posed with the strategic problem: how do you deter our adversaries and, if necessary, fight to defeat our adversaries? They would tell you, like, the value of XBAT comes from the ability to create a massive number of dilemmas by having geographically distributed long-range fires that can be launched from anywhere on the battlefield. And so now, where an adversary like China has to worry about these fixed runways and a couple the United States has 11 aircraft carriers. We have to worry about a couple fixed runways, and these aircraft carriers, now all of a sudden they have to worry about every, 20 foot by 20 foot spot of Earth on the planet. And that is, why does that matter? Now it basically forces them to redefine their invasion calculus. If you don't know where America's assets are, especially our aerial assets, which are our number one conventional strategic deterrent, it's going to force you to rethink your war plans. It buys diplomacy another day. On the other side of the coin of what I would tell you about XBAT, and this is again, I want to be super clear. XBAT is going to augment fighter pilots for quite some time. But when I look at something like the Joint Strike Fighter, it is an incredible capability. If you actually dig into what that capability offers the USA, it's amazing. But it requires runways. It requires hardened bunkers. It requires a $10 million pilot just to get to be certified on flying it, right? Not even making them an expert at that system, right? It's I could put, when we became Navy SEALs, we weren't expert Navy SEAls on day one, right? $10 million to make you, just dangerous enough with the aircraft. It is limited range. I want to say it's around 550 nautical mile combat radius. And so if you want to employ Joint Strike Fighter in the Pacific, where there are 1,000 nautical mile ranges, you have to have refueling tankers. And because of the threat environment, we've built autonomous refueling tankers, right? Which is another expensive capability.
You have built the refuel?
No, we did. The USA has built refueling tankers for these Joint Strike Fighters. And then the platform itself is $100 million. So when you look at the all-in total cost of capability for the Joint Strike Fighter, again, amazing capability. It's wildly expensive. It's probably estimated $200 million to $250 million per aircraft when you look at all these add-on capabilities, not to mention the total life cycle cost of it, the hourly cost of operating at $35,000 an hour. XBAT, vertical takeoff, launch, and land, no runways. It is, AI pilot, so no human pilot. It has a 2,100 nautical mile range with mission payload. And so you have, massive range. We're targeting $27.5 million per pop on it with a $6,000 per hour operating cost for the aircraft. And so you're getting 5th, 6th gen capability at a fraction of the cost. And that's something that no one else is doing or offering.
Wow. I mean, the VBAT beat the F-35, correct?
No. No. So VBAT being and no, VBAT XBAT can get confusing. VBAT's the Mini Reaper Predator. The XBAT in development. We're going to, we've got a subsystem prototype that's flying in 2026, full system prototype flying in 2027, going to production in 2029. The AI pilot for that aircraft, we're developing AI pilots for this next generation of uncrewed fighter jets. And so we have not gone up against, F-35, but we've gone up against our F-16s, and actual F-16s, and F-16 versus F-16. And this was part of the DARPA ACE program, which was the next program from the DARPA Alpha Dogfight, where we've gone up against F-16 pilots. And yeah, we've AI pilot, like, it wins.
Crushes.
Right? Yeah. So.
You ready to go take a look?
Yeah. And so we've got, a model out there that I'm excited to show you. It's really cool. Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, Brandon, what are we looking at here?
All right, so this is the XBAT and the LRV, which is the launch recovery vehicle for the XBAT. It's actually a scaled model, believe it or not. This is only 2/3 the actual size to get into trade shows and events. We are limited in terms of like the actual size, but yeah, this is the aircraft that we are building currently. So. But yeah, this is our model that we take to events, help people understand what we're building, the capabilities, and gives them something visually to look at. But yeah, I don't know. This is actually my first time seeing it physically. I've only seen it in the photos from our team, and no, it's like I've told you, I've been doing this now for 10 years. It's hard work, right? But I think this is, like, I get inspired by this thing. Like, I'm fired up to build this thing. I'm fired up to make it a reality for the warfighter. I think the capability is absolutely strategic. It's going to make a huge impact. And it's like, who gets to work at the intersection of AI pilots and fighter aircraft and actually build an AI piloted fighter aircraft that doesn't require a runway? So it's cool.
Not very many people.
Yeah.
But so 2,100 nautical mile radius?
With mission payload.
With mission payload.
So basically this thing can carry the same thing, same amount of payload as an F-18, F-35. It's carrying 4 AMRAAMs internal. It's got
What's
a medium range air-to-air missile. Multi-role, it can be for air-to-air missions, air-to-ground missions, air-to-surface missions. It can be used for electronic warfare missions. It's an incredible aircraft.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I'm happy to walk around, tell you all about it. But
let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
So one of the cool things, we're actually using the F-100 engine is the engine that is used in F-15s, F-16s. One of the really cool aspects about it is it's a multi-plane thrust vectoring engine, which is also the only U.S. airplane, U.S. jet in existence that has multi-plane thrust vectoring. So the F-22 uses 2D plane thrust vectoring. I want to say it's the Russians have this. The Russians or Chinese have an aircraft that has multi-plane thrust vectoring, but basically what that enables is increased maneuverability, some low speed maneuvers. I was looking it up the other day. It enables something like I want to call it like the Pugachev Cobra maneuver, is something they may have shown in like Top Gun 2 when, they're like, holy crap, what the hell is that? That type of stuff. So
damn.
I know someone's got to check me and it's going to be some other maneuver, but like, the
internet will sort it out.
Yeah, the internet will sort it out.
So is this how it launches?
Yeah, so it launches from this position and it also recovers from this position. One of the things we had, so the LRV is also really cool. It's got this call it a blast shield. But one of the things that they were discovering with F-35 when it was taking off from aircraft carriers, because they have a vertical takeoff or short takeoff, launch and land, but the engine was burning holes into the flight deck. And so that was just like a massive problem with the aircraft. This meant to deflect, when we go afterburner on it and just the heat that's being generated from the engine when we're taking off and when we're landing. So, but yeah, it launches, lands like a SpaceX rocket. Again, our head of aircraft, Armor Harris, I feel like he was just built for developing this aircraft, but worked as a principal engineer on the Falcon 9 launch and land, and then was doing Starlink, Starshield, working with Elon, and just wanted to work on the air layer and build next generation aircraft. So, yeah.
That is amazing.
Yep.
What is that hole in the front?
So that's the intake up there. So air intake for the engine. And yeah, that's what it is.
Right on. Right on.
Yeah, not much more to it.
Where do all the weaponry
So you've got internal and hard points on the other sides of the wings there. Those are the weapons bay for it. Again, carrying basically any weapon, you can carry LRASMs, long-range anti-ship missiles. You can carry air-to-air missiles, air-to-ground missiles. You can carry bombs. Again, very much think of it as like a, same thing that you would find on a fighter aircraft in terms of its weapon payload. The unique thing and like one of the differentiating things about this, besides being vertical takeoff, launch, and land, but if I were to compare it to like some of the other new CCA capabilities that you're seeing built, those aircraft are using business jet engines, and so they can't generate the electrical power to run 5th generation, 6th generation sensor suites and electronic attack payloads. And so electronic warfare being a massive aspect of the battlefield today, right? Jamming enemy GPS, jamming enemy communications, things that something like the F-18 Growler would be doing, we can also do that mission. And so it's like, look, even if you were to go Winchester on the weapons on this aircraft, you still have your electronic attack abilities, and so you're still playing a role in the fight. You can act as comms relay. Yeah, this thing is
What do you mean electronic warfare? Like jamming capabilities?
Yeah, jamming, GPS, jamming the communications on other enemy platforms. Yeah.
Wow.
One of the other cool things, so we like to say this thing hauls ass and sips gas, right? It can fly for 2,100 nautical miles with full mission payload, but it's flying, cruising at 55,000 feet altitude, which is higher than any other like aircraft, like definitely like in its class, right? And why is that important? It actually allows your air-to-air missiles, it improves the kinematics on them, which makes for, the easiest way to say it is like longer range weapons. And so now your missiles can actually go further because they're actually, the air is less dense up there. They're not, using as much gas when they're being fired. And I don't think a lot of people appreciate, but like in air-to-air combat, air-to-air warfare, like what matters is your sensor range. What matters is the range of your missiles. It's not, as cool as like dogfighting is, it's not, within visual range dogfighting anymore. It's, F-35 is amazing because it can see everything before it gets seen, and it can attack those things. Same thing with this aircraft.
Dude, that is crazy.
Yeah, powered by HiveMind being our AI pilot. Again, just been working on HiveMind for the past 10 years. And so the mission sets, like we were talking about in the studio, being like that library of checked out missions, but continue to work on classified level missions for air-to-air missions, air-to-ground missions for this aircraft.
55,000 feet, 2,100 miles.
Yeah.
Nautical miles with a payload. How fast does it go?
We're cruising at Mach 0.85. We're expecting that you'll be able to dash supersonic. The problem when you dash supersonic is that your signature goes up. People know, and right, this thing is meant to be pretty low observable in terms of what the enemy's looking for. So, yeah.
And so when it lands,
Yep.
it lands just like this?
Lands just like this, takes off, lands. Don't want to say, like, yeah, we took inspiration from, SpaceX, catching
That's
the
crazy.
thing.
So it lands like, it goes in reverse and just lands right there, hooked up, ready to roll again.
We've got a lot of experience doing that with the VBAT. And actually, believe it or not, VBAT's a harder thing to launch and land than something like this, because like in armor will tell you, it's like, look, Falcon 9, you have all the thrust in the world, and like you put that thing wherever you want on the planet, centimeters. Like VBAT, and like you have perfect weather conditions. VBAT, you're operating in the worst weather conditions. You don't have a lot of thrust. It's a big challenge. XBAT, you have an incredible amount of thrust. From a technical challenge aspect, if this is VBAT and this is Falcon 9, you have XBAT like right next to Falcon 9. Damn. Again, that multi-plane thrust vectoring allows us to put this thing wherever we need to put it. So
wow.
But yeah, no, it's right. It's, I mean, not only you can now make every ship an aircraft carrier. You can make non-standard vessels aircraft carriers, right? You can put these things on cargo ships, island chains. It just becomes a really intractable thing for the adversary to track, which
can go everywhere. Anywhere and everywhere.
Right? We're in a field here, right? You go into a forest clearing. We were joking around. You put this thing on, a pickleball court if you want. Like every pickleball court in the world is now your runway. So,
damn.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I mean, could you imagine a drone swarm of these bad boys coming after your ass?
Yeah. No, this thing is... No, and that's what, look, we're very much working on the behaviors, the missions of multi-agent expats flying around, augmenting, fighter pilots, augmenting the mission, executing the mission independently. Like I said, I think for me, this is like an inspirational aircraft. I'm like, holy crap, this is like one of those, this is a cool thing to build. Like,
one of those moments.
Yeah. Like if you want to be at the intersection of AI, national security, building cool, jet aircraft, Shield AI is, a great place to do it. So no limit, in terms of the ambition and the imagination here.
Yeah.
So.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited to, launch this thing on your show. I think that's like, that's a cool thing. I know a lot of people watch it. I think it's, thanks for letting us bring it onto your property. I'm sure your neighbors were like, what the hell is this thing?
They're worried about
what Sean got going on right now.
They're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. So.
Wow, man. Congrats. This is the kind of stuff that just makes me proud to be an American. Like, that is the future of aerial warfare. That is
Yeah, it fundamentally
incredible.
will transform air warfare, right? Again, no more Earth is our runway, AI piloted. It's a mean machine that I think, to the point of it's going to deter our adversaries by diplomacy another day. So
yeah, I'll say, wow. Awesome. I want to see a launch.
yeah.
Launch?
We'll bring you out happy to bring you out to the first flight. I think it's only appropriate that
Dude, I would
you come out to that. Yeah. So
I would love that. Cool.
Yep.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. No, thanks, Sean.
Do you feel it? That something's off? What if none of this is real? For decades, wars have been fought in silence. No bullets, no bombs, just influence. They're called psychological operations, PSYOPs. What if it's all designed for you? Find out who's really pulling the strings. I'm Sean Ryan, and this is Target Intelligence PSYOP, an Ironclad original. In this 8-part audio experience, we uncover the ghosts in the machine. Buy it today at psyopshow.com. I know everybody out there has to be just as frustrated as I am when it comes to the BS and the rhetoric that the mainstream media continuously tries to force feed us. And I also know how frustrating it can be to try to find some type of a reliable news source. It's getting really hard to find the truth and what's going on in the country and in the world. And so one thing we've done here at Sean Ryan Show is we are developing our newsletter. And the first contributor to the newsletter that we have is a woman, former CIA targeter. Some of you may know her as Sarah Adams, call sign Superbad. She's made 2 different appearances here on the Sean Ryan Show. And some of the stuff that she has uncovered and broke on this show is just absolutely mind-blowing. And so I've asked her if she would contribute to the newsletter and give us a weekly intelligence brief. So it's going to be all things terrorists, how terrorists are coming up through the southern border, how they're entering the country, how they're traveling, what these different terrorist organizations throughout the world are up to. And here's the best part, the newsletter is actually free. We're not going to spam you. It's about 1 newsletter a week, maybe 2 if we release 2 shows. The only other thing that's going to be in there besides the intel brief is if we have a new product or something like that. But like I said, it's a free CIA intelligence brief. Sign up. Links in the description or in the comments. We'll see you in the newsletter. All right, Brandon, we're back from the break. And what an amazing piece of machinery you've got out there. That is... I can't wait to see the launch.
Yeah, it'll be sick.
And the land.
You got to come
fired up to see that thing land.
Yeah.
But, one thing we didn't cover is the VBAT flew 130 sorties so far in Ukraine.
Yeah, by the time this airs, probably a lot more. But one of the, again, things that I'm like super proud of having that mission impact. Our Ukraine story is like, I think it's, one, our results are unique. But the story is kind of interesting in that in 2023, the British pushed out a bunch of VBATs to the Ukrainians. We told them, hey, HiveMind, our AI pilot, it's not integrated yet. You're not going to, if GPS or communications is jammed, it's not going to work. Because we had bought that company in late 21 and we were still in the integration process of the AI with the aircraft and making it a hardened capability. British gave it, they're like, look, we just want to get equipment assets out to the Ukrainians. There's a major push coming in the spring. And so they pushed out VBATs. They pushed out lots of equipment. Jamming happened. VBATs failed, right? As we told them it would. Ukrainians basically said, hey, come back when you have this fixed. We still believe in the capability. Came back in May, June of 2024. And they're like, look, we're going to put it through an electronic warfare testing regimen. Went up against, there's 3-4 days of every jammer. They had 7 jammers, GPS communications, running max power, VBAT flying within 50 feet, no impact on it, right? Because we had integrated the AI pilot on board this time. They kind of strung us along here and said, look, all right, great that you passed the test. And this was unique. No one's ever passed this test. They were trying to make us fail with all these jammers. They said, okay, great. We'll put in letters of request to the U.S. government if it actually proves its worth on the battlefield. And we're like, well, you guys didn't tell us about this, but we said, okay, let's look. We're here to make mission impact. First operation ever flew. GPS communications was jammed. I don't think people realize it. It's completely jammed in Ukraine on the battlefield. And so every mission that we've done, GPS and comms has been jammed. But our first mission that we did, actually fun. The interesting part of the story is one of the interesting parts. One of the assumptions we made was that we asked them, like, look, we're going to, near the front. Is GPS going to be jammed on takeoff? They said, no, like, it's not going to be jammed on takeoff. So we go out to operate, and lo and behold, GPS is jammed on takeoff on this mission we're supposed to execute. VBAT starts flying in another direction, right, because of GPS jamming, because we had assumed it was going to be available just for takeoff. And what ends up happening is like 6 hours of our team driving through Ukraine, kind of like the movie Interstellar when they're like going through the cornfields trying to capture the drone. Like, that's what our team did. They land it. Ukrainians were like, yeah, I didn't think it was going to work on the battlefield. We're like, well, you guys gave us a bad assumption. Within 24 hours, team worked it. They came up with a software solution, right? It was just like basically changing an assumption. Tested it in Texas, pushed the software update to Ukraine. Next day, we said, hey, give us, we want to retake this mission, execute the mission. Do fine on takeoff, executing the mission, comms GPS jam the entire time. Target an SA-11 Bukovel surface-to-air missile system. Ukrainians call in HIMARS airburst round, destroys the Bukovel. Second, target a second SA-11 Bukovel surface-to-air missile system. HIMARS misses due to GPS jamming. The effectiveness of U.S. weapon systems is really poor in these GPS jammed environments. So that leads to letters of request from the U.S. government, and then president takes office and stops funding, which is again, like I'm fine with the decision as like an American taxpayer. I understand it, right? As Shield AI, we're like, oh my God, we're at the finish line, and then we're about to deliver capability. Thankfully, Europeans step up to the plate. They get VBAT aircraft over there, and then we go through training with the Ukrainians January to March, and since April they have been absolutely lethal with the system. And so God, there was like a 2-week period where we were executing 4 to 6 strikes every day, or enabling 4 to 6 strikes every single day, destroyed hundreds of millions of dollars of Russian equipment. And it's a capability that they had never had long-range ISR and targeting before. They were fighting a very tactical fight, but now with this capability to penetrate deeper into enemy-held territory, while GPS, while comms is jammed, they were finding targets that they had been looking for 6-9 months they couldn't find.
Wow.
And so, again, super proud of the impact that we've played there. And, as we think about, when we talk to them now, they're like, man, if we had been able to put up a bunch of these on our border, right, and knowing that every single VBAT's tied into some sort of long-range weapon system, you could deter your adversaries. And so as we look to, the Pacific, that's something that we think about a lot. We see that out of, a country like Taiwan that is absolutely trying to deter adversaries. It's like, well, you have to have the equipment that the adversary respects to deter them. And so, I'm thankful that like VBAT is one of these things that has been battlefield proven. And to the point, like what I'm just going to hammer home in on again, like there aren't other US companies doing this. Like they are not having success in these GPS and comms jammed environments. It is a very hard problem. I actually would say that there's only 2 companies in the world, and I can't name the other company that's actually finding success there. It's a Ukrainian company in these environments, and that's from reporting from call it the warfighters out there in terms of like actually executing the ISR and targeting a mission. Now, tactically, when you're talking like fiber optic connected quadcopters, where the GPS, like where you're tethered to something and you can fight in the 1 to 10 kilometer range, yes, there's like a lot of tactical innovations happening on that end, but at like the strategic operational level, proud that Shield AI stands alone.
Man, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
A lot of hacking, and so would this be a system that China could hack into? If we were using it for an offensive?
It'd be incredibly difficult. Like it would be incredibly, I wouldn't say it'd be tactically feasible to actually like execute. You'd have to be like proximal to the command station where these things, you'd have to know where they were flying, whether it's VBAT, whether it's XBAT. And then you have to like get through encryption. It's just not like the way to take out these systems are going to be kinetically using surface-to-air missile systems. And that's actually like, look, we've lost VBATs to surface-to-air missile systems in Ukraine. And I remember like, we get a report back, hey, S-300 shot down a VBAT. And we're like, all right, $1 million missile, for a $750,000 aircraft. I'll take that trade. And so that's going to be the way that you see these systems drones that are able to survive that electronic warfare because they have an AI pilot on them, because they have our hive mind running on them. The only way that you're going to be able to take them out is going to be kinetically.
Now, when you're talking about jammed communications and jammed GPS, all the way back to the quadcopter, all this autonomous stuff that can think on its own and and conduct missions. Is there any? Do we need communication with these devices?
Like, if you want the best performance, you're going to want the communication is like very beneficial. In the same way, like it's like if we were a SEAL element, if you were a fire team leader and I was a fire team leader, if we have established communications, we can operate much better together, right? Mm-hmm. If you're across a mountain ridge and you're saying, hey, Brandon, this is what I'm doing, like I can then adjust my tactics, behaviors on like what you're seeing, what you're observing. In the absence of communications, I have all the trust, faith, and confidence that you're going to be able to execute, right, that commander's intent without it, and then you'll adjust your tactics, your behaviors, your mission based on, new information coming through. And so the autonomous systems work the same way. Communications, when you're in a jammed environment, you can think of it as like Swiss cheese. Sometimes you can find pockets. If you're only working with low amounts of data, you can push that data out even though you're operating in a jammed environment. And so we'll compress a lot of that data, and that allows you to actually push it out so that these systems can even, interact like as a team better with each other.
Oh, okay. That's a great point. So the jamming isn't only from human to machine, it is also from machine to machine when they're flying as a team.
Yeah.
Interesting. What do you see these things, what is the XBAT going to replace? Or is it just another weapon in our arsenal?
I think,
or is it replacing?
I don't like to. I really like people get sensitive to the word replace, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think things replace things for like a long time. It doesn't mean that it never happens, but it takes like, self-driving cars, right? Where it's going to replace drivers at some point in time. I don't think that happens for 20 plus years. So in the meantime, like it's just augmenting that human team, whether it's jet aircraft, whether it's basically mechanisms to deliver long range fires. So that could be, anti-ship missiles launched from a ship. That could be, fighter bomber aircraft. It's doing the same mission. It's that strike mission, or a air-to-air mission, just differently. And so that can be with human pilots, augmenting them. And I think that's how it'll go in the early days. And, from there, if you extrapolate, the rate of innovation around AI and autonomy, I think you get to like really interesting places, again, down the line where you start to replace some of these systems.
Is there going to be will these machines fly along in the meantime, in the interim, before that happens, which I'm sure it will?
Yep.
Will they commingle with human pilots?
100%. Yeah, they'll augment. They'll be part of that human machine team. They will augment the pilots. I think something like, and that will be like the first iteration. Then the U.S. military started experimenting with like, okay, let's just have these systems run on their own and execute missions. But like, I think the mission is going to dictate like what the force requirement is, in the sense like you're going to see missions that dictate, hey, we want to send in a package of F-35s and XBATs into this operation, or F-22s and XBATs. I think you're going to see some missions where it's like, look, just send in, some XBATs, see what happens. And they can run certain missions independently and then certain missions as human machine teams.
Could you give me an example of what a mission set would look like where it is, human pilots and XBATs together?
Um, yeah, I think it's good. Like, look, again, I think it's going to be the threat environment. And so if you're going up against like the worst threat environment imaginable, like, so I would say like you could imagine a strike mission where, you know, intelligence estimates that there's a limited number of surface-to-air missile systems, but there's a complexity to the type of mission in terms of the effects that they want to have, where it's like you want to put pilots up in the air. And then there could be a mission where it's like, look, it's a simple mission, but it's a target that is like hell for any aviator because the number of surface-to-air missile systems in the area are a ridiculous amount. We know they're mobile. We don't know exactly where they are. You might basically go stimulate that environment by sending, you know, unmanned systems first, things like the XBAT first.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Is there any stealth capabilities to it?
It is, its shape, its design is inherently low observable, meant to have a very small radar cross section. Stealth is, there can be stealth coatings applied to it, but we want to get the capability out fast. And like one of the ways to do that is just like not worry about the stealth aspect of the capability to start, like true stealth coatings.
As far as DC is concerned, I mean, are our politicians on board with this? Are you getting a lot of...
Yeah. I think they're very much, I think not only the politicians, but also senior DoD leadership. One, I think they're very much bought into the concept of collaborative combat aircraft, right? These uncrewed jets that are being built by lots of people. I think, you know, for us, the combination of HiveMind and XBAT really stands out in the sense that, again, no one's ever seen an aircraft like this before. It's pretty unique. And then like, it's non-obvious in terms of like the immediate benefits that it has for the warfighters, essentially that logistics aspect of it and like just the tactical employment of it, putting it anywhere, right? It fundamentally redefines how air warfare is executed when you start eliminating the need for runways. Everything has always been constrained by that one thing. And so I think politicians very much understand that. And absolutely like the combatant commanders and, you know, senior military leaders understand that. And it's, look, I think, yeah, they're excited about it. There's a lot of enthusiasm, support for the capability. The challenge is that no one had ever conceived of something like this. And so it's kind of like this unplanned product that you're like, wait a second, like, okay, what impact does this have to, you know, the rest of our systems as this thing comes online? Not to mention the fact that, you know, Shield AI is funding the vast majority of its development. And so it's just kind of, you know, that will be one of the challenges. It's like, okay, well, how does it affect current DoD resourcing plans as this capability comes online?
How fast can you manufacture these?
We want to ramp to we want this aircraft to be this generation's F-16, right? I think there's something like 4,000 F-16s out there. I think you're going to see more because lower cost, lower life cycle costs, AI piloted, much easier to adopt and implement into a force structure. 2029 targeting 50 aircraft, but ramping, you know, between 300 to 500 aircraft. Again, that's right. And that's going to be done over a number of years to get to. But, and the demand for the aircraft is going to play a role in that. But it's the customer reception, right? We've gone public with it today. We've been engaging the customer now for 8-9 months, and the reception has been wild in terms of, like, again, it's a non-obvious way to solve a lot of problems that were never really, you know, articulated as problems. It's like, what would you do with an Air Force that didn't require a runway, right? Or Air Forces, right? You know, what does this mean for the Navy and the Marine Corps, where your strike power is no longer limited to an aircraft carrier, where you can have Marines on island chains with this type of, you know, organic capability. it just redefines so much as we think about air superiority and like how that's employed.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, I would claim it's like, up to the point where like people, it's almost, I think it'll be as transformational as like when we decided to launch airplanes from ships, right? Like right before World War II, someone had the crazy idea like, hey, let's try to launch one of these airplane things off a ship, right? And then what did that do? That basically defined the military force structure of the United States for the next 80 years. So
Damn. Do you think we'll see these loitering for defense, loitering around FOBs, loitering around the border of the country? I mean,
I don't know if they'll be loitering. Like I think of it as like they'll be used as power projection in the same way that our aircraft carriers are used as power projection. And so I don't see them, right? When an adversary or a country is being belligerent to another country and the United States wants to do something, what do? We park an aircraft carrier off of its coast and we're flying sorties and saying, hey, check yourself before, you wreck yourself. And I think that'll be similar. It's hard for me to see us using like that type of platform in terms of like local, I say domestic, like air patrol, domestic border security outside of like, I don't know, the Caribbean Sea is a pretty interesting place right now. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, we're wrapping up the interview. And, one thing that I just want to ask is, for Gen Z, for the upcoming generations, I mean, what inspiration do you have for them being somebody who's an innovator?
Yeah, I think, look, my recommendation would be like be bold, be courageous. Like you've got, one, precious life and just like make the most out of it. And don't be afraid to swing for the fences or be part of a team that is swinging for the fences. Like in no way are you going to regret that. Like I regret zero of my time in the Navy, even on a ship. Like I'm very thankful for that time. I'm thankful for my time in the SEAL teams, like the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. And then, Shield AI, like thankful for it. And like for me and like what I'm encouraging, I want to encourage that for my kids, like be confident, be courageous, be bold, swing for the fences. Like, why, what do you have to lose? Is, my mentality. And that would be my message for this next generation.
Love that. Well, Brandon, I just want to say it was an honor to interview you, man. And just, wow. Congratulations. It's awesome what you're doing.
Thanks, Sean. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show. Thanks for letting us bring in the expat to your, to your facility and, apologize for the complaints from the neighbors.
No. I mean, it's like I said out there when you were giving me the tour of the aircraft. I mean, this is you. What you're doing, what you've built is it just makes me proud as hell to be an American. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers. No matter where you're watching Sean Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.